Chapter 2847, Green Vessel's Wrath 3. In addition, although Bao Bao had recovered its memory and strength, it was still quite young. Therefore, as time passed, Uncle Long and the others could no longer treat it as the legendary beast god. When the baby heard this, he looked at Uncle Long with tears in his eyes and said, "Woo, are you guys despising me? I can control beasts. I can definitely help. Baby." This wasn't a matter of controlling the beast. The key was whether there were any beasts around Fog for you to control. If not, what are you going to do? Everyone was silent. Seeing this, Bao Bao looked at Ice Soul and said, "Little Soul, I want to go. Then we'll go. Let's all go together." Ice Spirit couldn't stand her baby's innocent eyes and surrendered immediately. This boss who had been reborn. In his heart, she was equivalent to an ice phoenix. He also felt as if he had a son, because the boss that he had lost and found with great difficulty had actually learned to act coquettishly. This really took Chilant's life. The baby was happy to see Ice Spirit compromise. Then it pounced into Ice Spirit's arms and acted coquettishly, leaving Ice Spirit helpless. What else could Uncle Long say after Ice Spirit agreed? Since you want to go to the Imperial City, who will stay behind this time? Uncle Long asked another key question. "I definitely don't want to stay." Dongfang Yu immediately expressed his opinion. "You bastard." He had been left behind several times, and this time he was not willing to be left behind no matter what. "Why do we need to stay behind?" Huan Chun asked in confusion. "If we don't, what if the enemy attacks?" Uncle Long said matter-of-factly, "Isn't our only enemy the Ripple Mist bitch? And we're going to the Imperial City now," Huan Chun reminded. "Doesn't she still have a clone?" Uncle Long also reminded him. Huan Chun fell silent upon hearing this. In the end, the crowd discussed and raised their hands to vote. The unlucky Master Ning was left behind. The depressed Master Ning watched Uncle Long and the others leave, feeling sad. And Reverend God's speed was fast. The few of them took turns to teleport, and they arrived at the Imperial City in less than half a day. The guard at the entrance of the Imperial City had seen Bing Po before, so when he saw them, he immediately ran into the city as if he had seen a ghost. He kept shouting, "There's an enemy! There was an enemy! That Chilan is here again! Everyone be on your guard!" "Has Long Ruashue arrived yet?" someone in the city asked, and his voice could be heard. Everyone was silent and turned to look at Ice Spirit. Ice Spirit was embarrassed by their stares and explained, "It's not my fault. The little girl is too powerful. They're not afraid of me. But would anyone believe this?" Ice Spirit shook his head and sighed. Then, he and the others swaggered into the Imperial City. The guards didn't dare to stop them, let alone collect their fees. "You bastard!" He was almost scared to death. How could he still be in the mood to collect fees? He strode to the main gate of the Divine Master's estate. The two doors immediately opened and Xian Yi and the other two Reverend God-level cultivators walked out. When he saw Uncle Long and the others, Xian Yi asked with a helpless smile, "Why have you all come here?" After asking such nonsense, even Xian Yi despised himself a little. Was there need to ask? These few people were probably here to cause trouble out of boredom. And wasn't this formation a little too frightening? For Reverend God-level experts and a white-robed man whose strength he couldn't even see through. What were they up to? One should know that the Divine Lord's estate only had 3 Reverend Gods, but the other party had sent 4 at once. This was definitely not a sign of friendship. Xian Yi was well aware of this, but he had no choice but to put on an act. AI, the life of spy was not easy. Nothing big, I'm just here to cause trouble. Uncle Long laughed evilly. After he had enough eye contact with Xuani, he said, "Your sister." This old whale actually dared to say that? Hearing this, Xian Yi's mind was in a mess. Demon City was so arrogant now that they didn't need to be more subtle about causing trouble at the Divine Lord's estate. The answer now was obviously yes. As for the people from the Divine Lord's estate, they were all upset when they heard Uncle Long's arrogant words. Since when could the high and mighty Divine Master's estate allow others to cause trouble as they pleased? "Thanks, is that Ripple Mist bitch here?" Seeing that the other party was silent, Uncle Long continued to smile very lewdly. The God Lord isn't here. Ignoring the word bitch, Xian-yi said helplessly. It's good that he's not here. We can finally move freely. Uncle Long said, satisfied. The people in the God Lord's manor were depressed again. The Divine Master isn't here, so you can do whatever you want, right? In fact, Uncle Long and the others were happy to hear that the Ripple Mist bitch wasn't here, because this meant that she was still healing. However, it was not good news for Ice Spirit. The main reason he came to U City was to find that bitch, Wu Cheng. If he wasn't here, who would he call? Ice Spirit was obviously not interested in the 3 Reverend God level cultivators. That was why he was sad. An ice-cold aura floated around them and gradually spread to the 3 of them. Feeling the sudden chill, Xian-yi and the other 2 looked at Ice Spirit helplessly. When Ice Spirit saw that she had attracted the attention of the 3, she said, I'll give you 2 choices. Either the 3 of you come at me together, or call out the Ripple Witch and let me fight her. Please choose the 3rd option. The 3 of them were in tears. This Chelan former clan leader was clearly a battle maniac, and he even wanted the 3 of them to attack together. To be honest, there were not many reverent gods in the divine realm who were willing to fight with the Ice Spirit, because that would be a completely one-sided beating. But now the other party had their eyes on the 3 of them. What could they do? The 3 of them looked at each other and communicated with their eyes. Then they turned to the guards beside them and said, Go and inform the God Lord that Senior Ice Soul has arrived. As the saying goes, better a fellow Taoist than a poor one. The current situation was clearly already out of their control. It was better to invite the Divine Master out. After Wu Yin heard this news, she quickly stopped healing and walked out of the secret room. Seeing Wu Chun again after several years, Ice Soul found that her complexion was much better than before. It seemed that after so many years of healing, her injuries had almost recovered. This fact made him quite unhappy. If Wu Chen's injuries were completely healed, it also meant that he would have time to find trouble with them. This can't do. Shui still hasn't come out of seclusion. He absolutely couldn't let Wu Xian heal first. After thinking about it, Ice Spirit deliberately shouted at Wu Xiao, Ripple Mist bitch, you haven't appeared in the immortal realm for so long. I thought you were already dead. Ice Soul, is there any point in arguing? The red-robed Wu Chun said with a smile. Of course it's meaningful. I'll be very happy if I can anger you to death. Ice Spirit replied with a smile. I'm afraid you won't be able to do as you wish. I heard that you're here to pick a fight with me? Wu Xian asked in a calm manner. Not bad. Ice Spirit nodded. You think you're my match? What about Lung Ruoxue? Tell her to get out here. River Ripple said angrily. Then she started to look around Ice Spirit. Seeing all the familiar faces, Wu Yin was so angry that she was about to explode. Wait a minute. Why was this guy here? After seeing the long-lost Dream Dust, she could no longer control her anger. She pointed at Dream Dust and asked, Why are you here? What she wanted to ask was why Huan Chun was with Ice Soul and the others. When did they get together? However, Huan Chun acted as if he didn't understand what she was saying. He elegantly smiled and said, I can't be here. This is also my home. Damn it, don't play dumb. I'm asking you, how did you end up with these people? Wu Xian's flames of anger burned wildly. Her red clothes fluttered without any wind, and the flames spewing out of her eyes simply wanted to drown Huan Chun. What do you mean? Huan Chun asked in confusion. If you're with him now, that's called fooling around. Ripple Mist angrily replied. Is she with you? Huan Chun asked again. That's the wisest choice you can make. Dream Dust, I order you to return to my side. Rhyme howled with jealousy, her beautiful face contorted in anger. Yes, she was jealous. He was so jealous that he was about to go crazy. Why? Why did Lung Ruoxue have everything that she could not get despite all her efforts? What kind of charm did that little girl have that she could actually make these experts, whom she was quite envious of, work for her? She was the Divine Master. She was the master of the Divine Realm, all right? Why did that wretched girl have to be 100 times better than her in front of these old fellows? And he was not welcomed by them? Since ancient times, his existence had been like a thorn in the flesh of these people. They looked down on him, and even if he became a god lord, they wouldn't even think highly of him. She had also thought of subduing them, but these hateful guys didn't even put her in their eyes. Now that the stinky girl had appeared, she had immediately come to his door. These people's extreme attitudes towards her and Lung Ruoxua made Wu Xiao so jealous that she was about to go crazy. One had to know that among the people in front of her, other than the dragon whale from tens of thousands of years ago, which was slightly weaker, Dongfang Yu, Dongfang Lin, Huan Shun, and Bing Po were all people she wanted to subdue. However, she had thought of all sorts of ways, even using both soft and hard tactics, but she had not been able to make these people admit defeat. Now, these people were all standing on the opposite side of her and had become her enemies. How could this not make her vexed and angry? Oomph. If he had known this would happen, he would have killed them all. Chapter 2848. You're also alive? 1. Wu Han regretted this. He didn't kill them back then, but now they were all taken advantage of by that damn brat Lung Ruoxua. However, it was too late for regrets now. And even if Fog was filled with regret, it could not change this fact. At this moment, Ice Soul, who was watching Huan Chun and Wu Chen's interaction, looked at the two and said with a look of realization, "So the relationship between the two of you is not shallow." Ice Spirit's words were very subtle, but everyone present understood what he meant. Thus, Uncle Dragon and the others cooperated and looked at Huan Chun and Wu Chun with ambiguous eyes. They looked at Huan Chun until he was scared. Following that, everyone heard Mirage Dust Fire roar, "You bastard! Who has a close relationship with this old bitch? I have nothing to do with her." Huan Chen's words could not be said to not be poisonous. It was fine to call her a slut, but he added the word old in front of it. As a result, everyone naturally laughed very happily, but Wu Chen's beautiful face became even more distorted and instantly turned green. However, no one cared if Wu Ling was angry or not. After all, everyone was here to anger her. It would be best if she could anger her to death, but even if she didn't, she would still cause trouble for the other party. You guys, I won't let you guys off." Seeing that Uncle Long and the others were laughing wildly, Wu Xiao, who was so angry from embarrassment, was almost speechless. After a long time, she finally managed to say something. Hearing her words, everyone laughed even more heartily. "Ripple, you bitch," Uncle Long said with a smile. "Even if you let us go, we don't intend to let you go." "That's right." Ice Spirit liked it. Seeing Ice Spirit speak again, Wu Ling suddenly laughed and said, "Ice Spirit, I know you hate me for throwing your son away, but it's been so long. Even if you hate me to the core, I'm afraid your short-lived son won't be back." The mist Ripple Red Fruit drew hatred, but Ice Spirit wasn't angry at all. She calmly replied, "Wu Chen, I always thought that you were very smart. Only today do I know that you're also an idiot. You can't be thinking that I'll be angry if you provoke me like this, right? I'm really sorry. I'm afraid I'll have to disappoint you. Besides, I want to kill you not just to avenge my son. You should understand this, right? You bastard. Who are you calling a short-lived ghost? You're the short-lived one. Your whole family is short-lived." As soon as Bing Pa finished speaking, Bing Yao came out from behind her father and cursed, leaving no chance for Wu Chan to provoke her. Hearing her son's voice, Bing Pa patted Bing Jie's head to comfort her. When she suddenly saw a small Kylan, of course, she was surprised. When she heard the small Kylan scold her, she was also a little angry. However, when she saw that the small Kylan looked very similar to Ice Spirit, she had a bad feeling. Could it be? No, that's impossible. Back then, when she had abandoned that little Qilin, she had clearly cut off the little Qilin's life force, so it was absolutely impossible for that little Qilin to be alive. With this thought in mind, Wu Han had a clear idea of what was going on. She looked at the small, ice-blue Qilin, which was glaring at her, with a sympathetic expression and incited, "Little guy, it doesn't feel good to be someone else's substitute, does it? I really do pity you. Although you're an ice Qilin, you don't have the bloodline of an ice spirit. If you find his son one day, what will you do? You will be abandoned by the ice spirit." Thanks. When Wu Ling said this, her expression of sympathy for Bing Yao grew more and more solemn. Bing Yao was baffled. while Uncle Long and the others could not help but feel their foreheads fill with black lines. This woman's IQ was really worrying. How can you sow discord like this? You're not even sure if they're father and son. If not, wouldn't you be making a huge mistake by saying that? Father, what is this old slut saying? After thinking for a while, Bing Yao didn't understand what Wu Han meant, so she had to ask her father for help. She's farting, Ice Spirit said in disdain. In his heart, he couldn't help but think, was his relationship with Bing Yao something that others could just provoke? It was truly laughable. However, Wu Yin didn't think so. She felt that the Ice Spirit didn't dare to answer the little Kylan's question directly. There must be something wrong with their relationship. Therefore, she wasn't angry at all after hearing Ice Spirit's words. Instead, she put on a kind expression as if she didn't want to scare a child. Little Qilin, this old Qilin lost his son tens of thousands of years ago. Naturally, he's treating you as a substitute for his son. When he finds his son, you'll be abandoned by him. Bullshit. I'm not a substitute. I'm the little Qilin that you threw away tens of thousands of years ago. As soon as Ripple Mist finished explaining, Bing Yao angrily said, "You're his son? Hee hee. Don't joke around. How is that possible? Little Kylan, Ice Spirit is lying to you. His son is long dead." Wu Wan didn't believe Bing Yao's words at all and continued to provoke her. At this moment, Ice Spirit smiled helplessly and asked, "Do you mean that he'll mistake my son for someone else? Don't you know that Beastie has a natural reaction to its own bloodline?" Ripple of Fog was stunned by Ice Spirit's confidence. She smiled confidently and said, "It can't be your son. When I threw your son into the lower world, I had already killed him. How can this little Qilin be it? His life force was cut off." These words echoed in Ice Soul's mind. In an instant, Ice Soul was furious. Fuck, his son's life force had actually been cut off. This was a fact that he only found out today. He had always thought that his son's slow growth was due to him not being nurtured by the Qilin race. However, it seemed like it was not just because of that. It seemed that the main reason why his son had been unable to reach adulthood was that his life force had been cut off. Ice Spirit couldn't just let it go after knowing what happened. She asked again, "Did you really end my son's life back then?" "Of course. How could it be wrong to make it myself? Therefore, you should stop deceiving this little Qilin. It's absolutely impossible for it to be your son." Wu Xiao laughed complacently. She felt a sense of accomplishment for being able to stimulate the Ice Spirit. "Father, am I really not your son?" Bing Yao asked helplessly. He finally understood what the bitch was saying. When she threw it at him, she had cut off his way out. If it was really the son of Ice Spirit, it shouldn't be alive. But it was clearly alive, so who was it? In an instant, Bing Yao was a little confused. Even though it felt close to the Ice Spirit, it could not be sure if it was the Ice Spirit's son. It was in a dilemma. Bing Pio's heart ached when he saw Bing Yao's reaction. He took Bing Yao into his arms and said, "Of course you're father's son. Don't tell me you doubt that father can't recognize his own son. Bing Yao, you're still young. When you've grown up, you'll be able to clearly sense the bloodline connection between us." Chapter 2849. You're also alive? To lie. You're lying to this cute little Qilin. Ice Soul was trying to comfort her child, while Fog was trying to make her presence known. Ice Soul's anger reached a new level. "Fuck, I'll deal with you after I've coaxed my son." Ice Spirit cursed in her heart and continued to coax her son. Bing Yao did not pay any attention to Wu Ling. She just buried her head in her father's arms, quietly feeling the special, indescribable bloodline connection between the two of them. After a while, Bing Yao raised her head from Bing Pio's arms. After looking at her father, she turned her angry eyes to Wu Ling and said fiercely, "Old bitch rhyme ice, don't even think about sowing discord between us father and son. To tell you the truth, I came from the lower realm. I'm the little Qilin that you threw into the lower realm back then." When Bing Yao said these words, he felt some regret in his heart. How could it be affected by this old bitch and let its thoughts run wild? If the Ice Spirit wasn't its father, would it be so good to it? Would it listen to it? Would he have no principles and play along with it? Thinking of this, Bing Yao's heart felt warm. and Wu Ling's words no longer affected it. However, after hearing Bing Yao's words, Ripple Mist was clearly quite surprised and disbelieving. This is impossible. It was impossible for that little Qilin to be alive. Moreover, you said that you came from the lower realm. Haha, do you think I'll believe you? With your strength, are you able to come up to the divine realm? Why can't I come up? Even if I can't come up, someone will bring me up. Seeing that Wu Jie was talking about his strength, Bing Yao was even more confident. That's right. With its strength, it was almost impossible in the divine realm. But even if it does come up, what can you do to me? Bing Yao laughed evilly as he thought. Who brought you up here? Upon hearing this, Wu Yin immediately asked. Little Xue brought me up here. Bing Yao told him honestly. Who is little Xue? Wu Xian didn't react for a moment. Little Xue is the little Xue you hate so much. Bing Yao said in a tongue-twister-like manner. Little Xue? Could be Lung Ruoxue? Wu Jing thought for a while before coming to a realization. But then, her anger rose instantly. That damned Lung Ruoxue. It's fine that I'm going against her, but now I've even kidnapped a Qilin. Wait a minute. Could the words of this little Qilin be trusted? The suspicious Wu Ling didn't really believe Bing Yao's words. After thinking, she said, Do you think he'll believe you? Back then, that little Qilin simply couldn't have survived. So don't lie to me. Wu Xiao would never believe it. Bing Yao heard the other's words and felt helpless. Why did no one believe him when he told the truth? Did he have to force it to lie? Thinking up to this point, Bing Yao could only helplessly say, If you think that you'll feel better if I lie to you, fine. I was lying to you. Back then, I was already dead, and I was killed by you. A helpless expression appeared on Bing Yao's cute little face as she spoke, instantly causing Uncle Long and the others to burst into laughter. On the other hand, Wu Ling's face turned ashen and she was extremely angry. If she couldn't even tell that she was being laughed at by a little Qilin, then her IQ was really too low. However, before she could get angry, a dark golden fur ball climbed up from Ice Spirit's back. It stared at Wu Mo with hatred for a while and said, Bitch, back then I was also killed by you, but I'm still alive. Thanks you. You're also alive? Seeing the fur ball, Wu Ice was stunned again. Then, anger rose to her head again. Fuck, all of them had actually come back to life? Wu Xiao was filled with hatred. Are these guys really unkillable? No, she would never believe it. Ripple wanted to retort, but Bao Bao beat her to it. Are you also going to say that I'm a fake? Right? Because there's no way you're still alive. Wu Yin said with certainty. In the past, this little save life had always been against her, so she had not shown any mercy when she killed him. She had even destroyed his soul. But now, the living little save life was in front of her, so how could she believe her eyes? Liar. It was all a lie. She would never believe that this little save life could reincarnate. This was because those who were killed by her, be it humans or beasts, would not have any chance of reincarnation. But how could he explain the facts in front of him? Wu Jing was uncertain for a moment, but then she became firm in her confidence. She looked at Bao Bao as if he was a counterfeit and said, I don't care who you are. If you want to impersonate the beast god, you're courting death. Beast god? As soon as these two words came out of Wu Xiao's mouth, except for Uncle Long and the others, who were quite calm because they already knew the truth, the people from the God Lord's estate were all shocked and speechless. Although they had never seen a beast god before, the legendary beast god was no small character. They had naturally heard of the great name of the beast god. Now that they heard that Wu Jing thought this little furball was a fake beast god, they were shocked and couldn't help but turn their eyes to the baby. Was this how the beast god was? It's a little furball? Wasn't this image a little too disappointing? It was undeniable that the baby's round body was quite cute, and many women might not be able to resist the urge to hug it when they saw it. However, as a beast god, this image was really too degrading. Shouldn't the legendary beast god be as mighty and majestic as the Qilin? How could he be so tiny and cute? How could anyone link the beast deity and fur ball together? Reputation and image did not match at all. Everyone in the Divine Master's estate was quite disappointed. Some people even looked at the baby with suspicion that you're a fake. Seeing this, the baby sighed helplessly and then listless. AI. There was no beastie at the scene, so there was no place for it to use its skills. And to fight with humans, no matter how one looked at it, it would be at a disadvantage. Seeing that the baby was listless, Wu Jing's previous anger and depression were replaced by a happy and proud smile, and she sneered, "Humph. A fake is a fake. Look at you, you good-for-nothing. You bastard. You are the good-for-nothing. Your whole family is a good-for-nothing." Being insulted by the enemy, no matter how good-tempered Bao Bao was, it was also angry. Fuck. If the baby doesn't show his power, do you think I'm a sick baby? The angry baby jumped out of Ice Soul's arms and roared into the sky. Uncle Dragon and Ice Soul's expressions changed. Even Wu Xiao's expression turned ugly, because she was too familiar with this roar. She had heard it several tens of thousands of years ago. However, she absolutely did not believe that this hairy ball in front of her, which looked exactly like the Beast God, had the ability to summon beasts like the Beast God. Chapter 2850. You're also alive? 3. As for the other people present, when they saw the little fur ball roar in anger, they were all confused. Was this a roar to scare people when he couldn't win? With such a thought, everyone on Rhyme Ice's side couldn't help but laugh. Hearing the laughter, Uncle Long and Ice Spirit couldn't help but look at those people. At the same time, they were worried that they might not have the chance to attack again today. The Beast God's wrath was unstoppable. After the baby finished shouting angrily, it seemed to have lost all its strength and fell from the sky. Ice Spirit saw this and quickly reached out to catch the baby. The baby smiled, then closed his eyes and fainted. Seeing that the baby had fainted, the people who were laughing wildly earlier laughed even louder. "Are you done laughing?" Ice Soul said as she held her son in one hand and her baby in the other. They were really a bunch of dogs who didn't know death. "You guys will suffer later." Ice Spirit didn't pity them at all, because they asked for it. However, his words didn't stop the other party's laughter. Instead, it made them laugh even more wildly. "All of you shut up." At this time, Wu Xiao also roared, and their laughter came to an abrupt stop. The people from the God Lord's estate were confused about why the God Lord was helping the other side. However, when they saw the God Lord's serious face, they didn't dare to make sound. Not long after, everyone present heard a sound coming from the distance. At first, it was just a buzzing sound, but as the object that made the sound approached, the sound became louder and louder, and it seemed that other sounds were mixed in with the buzzing sound. However, the distance was still a little far, so no one could tell what the sound was. Not long after, the sky suddenly turned gloomy. A mass of black clouds floated over from the distance at a speed visible to the naked eye. From time to time, the black clouds would flash with a few golden lights. Such a strange phenomenon shocked the people of the God Lord's estate to the point that they were speechless. What was this? The black cloud glowed with golden light and made a sound? It was only when the black cloud approached that they saw its true appearance. Oh my God, this wasn't a black cloud. It was clearly a troop made up of thousands of insects. In this group, there were bees, flies, mosquitoes, and so on. The insects that everyone was familiar with were still considered ordinary. There were even more that no one present knew. The smallest of these bugs was the size of an adult's fist. The biggest one was almost as big as a millstone. And there was more than one such a big bug. Obviously, the biggest bug was the leader of this team. As they floated in the sky above the Divine Lord's estate, the strange phenomenon they caused attracted the interest of many people living in the Imperial City. However, when they saw that the incident happened behind the Divine Lord's estate, most of them did not dare to touch the head of the Divine Lord's estate, even if they wanted to watch the fun. However, a person's curiosity was truly endless. There were also some extraordinarily bold people who thought that no one knew about them, hiding in some corner and broadcasting the scene here. At the same time, the people of the God Lord's estate were also guessing what these bugs were doing here. A group walk? This definitely wasn't tea. Then what were they doing here? And he even put out such a huge momentum. Was he trying to scare someone to death? Although the strength of the Zerg in front of him was not very high, there were so many of them. When they saw that the sky was densely packed with enemies, the people of the god Lord's estate felt their scalps tingle. At this moment, the leading bee with a golden body said, "Who is bullying our beast god? You bastard! You really don't want to live anymore. Bullying the beast deity?" Hearing the big bee's words, the people of the Divine Master's estate finally reacted. When they said they were bullying the beast god, were they referring to bullying that little fluff ball? Could it be that the little fur ball was really a beast deity? But didn't the Divine Master say that the other party was a fake? Who should they listen to? The people of the god Lord's estate were at a loss. They couldn't help but look at their boss. Wu Jing was very calm and said with a smile, "Are you sure it's a beast god? Don't be fooled by a liar. You bastard, you're the liar. Your whole family is a big liar." The golden bee immediately cursed when it heard that someone dared to slander its boss. It didn't care if the person was a master god or not. Thanks, this big bee was quite talented at scolding people. After scolding for a few minutes, it actually did not repeat the same thing. The faces of the people from the Divine Master's estate turned black. "You bastard! Who would feel good after being scolded by a bug?" As a result of the discomfort, someone took the lead and shouted at the golden bee, "Even if that little fur ball is a beast god, what does it have to do with you insects? Are you all beasts?" As soon as he said that, the people from the God Lord's mansion burst into thunderous laughter. "They're not beasts, so we're finally." Suddenly, a slightly aged voice interrupted. Everyone looked up at the same time, only to find that they had been surrounded by snakes. The one who spoke was the most senior snake among the snakes. Countless other venomous snakes stuck out their long tongues and glared at them. Their cold eyes emitted a cold chill. And those who were targeted by these poisonous snakes felt as if they had fallen into an ice cave, making them feel cold all over. They couldn't help but shiver, but no one dared to say anything against these poisonous snakes. More importantly, these snakes were very colorful, and they couldn't even name many of them. Or it could be said that these venomous snakes weren't from the snake clan that often moved around in the divine realm and were known to people. I really didn't expect that the fake little reserved life could actually command you. Seeing these venomous snakes, Wu Ling couldn't describe the feeling in her heart. This was because she knew all of these venomous snakes and had fought with them in the past. However, after she killed the beast god, these venomous snakes immediately disappeared from the divine realm. Moreover, in front of these venomous snakes, she still called the baby fake little Baixing. Hearing this, the old viper who had spoken earlier grinned and said, "You're the little reserved life. You're the fake one. You ungrateful bastard. You." Wu Yin was so angry that her anger rose again, but that old poisonous snake didn't care at all. He shouted to his disciples and grand-disciples, "Children, bite these traitors of the God Lord's estate to death. Especially this bitch in red. Everyone, bite as much as you can. After you're done, remember to quickly escape. Don't get caught by her." The old venomous snake's pre-battle encouragement immediately made all the snake children and descendants excited. However, when Uncle Long and the others heard this encouragement, they didn't know whether to be speechless or to praise this old venomous snake's wise move. Running after biting was definitely a great suggestion. Furthermore, he would definitely anger the enemy to death. Sure enough, when Uncle Long and the others turned their eyes to the mist-rippled bitch, her face turned red, green, and black, almost like a palette. In the next moment, a commotion broke out in front of the Divine Master's estate. After the encouragement from the old viper, countless vipers rushed towards their previously selected targets without any delay. Instantly, the scene turned into a mess. Screams and the sound of footsteps rose one after another, lingering in the ears. Uncle Long and the others took a big step back to watch the show. For a time, everyone in the Godlord estate suffered a collective disaster. Even the three reverent gods were not spared. Especially Xian Yi, he felt so aggrieved. He was clearly a spy. However, these venomous snakes did not distinguish between friend and foe and even bit him. However, she had no choice but to bite him. He would be exposed. With this thought in mind, he had no choice but to close his eyes and pass out the moment he was bitten by a poisonous snake. At this moment, many people had been bitten by the venomous snakes, causing the God Lord's estate's fighting strength to drop. In reality, they couldn't be blamed for this, and it had nothing to do with strength. The main reason was that there were too many venomous snakes, and it was hard to guard against them. You could defend against one, but not a group. Therefore, it was almost impossible to not be bitten. Once bitten, the consequences were self-evident. In addition, at this time, the fog ice had already been surrounded by the snakes. At the same time, Lung Roashue had also reached a crucial moment in her cultivation. After cultivating for such a long time and going through the spirit chi body refinement time and time again, not only had Lung Roashue's Bodhi strength reached an unimaginable level, but the spirit chi within her body was also nearing saturation. And this moment was the most important moment for her. Knowing that Lung Roashue was at the final stage, Song and Qingju were so nervous that they did not dare to blink. At this moment, the spiritual energy in the bangle was all flowing towards the purple bamboo house. In an instant, Lung Roashue's body was filled with spirit chi. She was dyed red by her blood, and her face, which was almost unrecognizable, gradually revealed a pained expression. This made Qingju's heart ache. "It's your turn now. Hurry up." Qingju turned at Song. "I know." Azure nodded with a solemn expression. At present, the spiritual energy in Nyo's body was so dense that it had almost solidified, so she really needed someone to help her with external help. Otherwise, if Nyo absorbed and fused it at her own speed, not only would the pain be doubled, but her life might also be in danger. Thus, both Azure and Green Vessel did not dare to take any risks. The next second, Azure decisively attacked. The majestic divine power flowed into Lung Roashue's body through its toes. The moment the divine energy entered her body, it immediately worked with Lung Roashue's physical and divine energy to deal with the restless spiritual energy. Absorption, fusion, and conversion. The two Shun powers worked together flawlessly. More and more Ling energy was tamed, and Song stopped the transfer of Shun power. After a long time, Lung Roashue, who had finally finished absorbing and converting all the spiritual energy in her body, opened her beautiful eyes that were as bright as autumn water. Chapter 2851. Lung Roashue, you and I are irreconcilable. 1. When they saw that Lung Roashue had woken up, Green Vessel and Song immediately rushed into her arms and acted coquettishly. When they felt that there was an obstacle beside them, the man and the beast started to trample on each other. Neither of them was willing to show weakness and wanted to push the other out of Lung Roashue's arms so that they could have Lung Roashue's arms for themselves. Lung Roashue saw the two little fellows squirming around in her arms and could only helplessly hug the two of them together. She sighed and said, "All right, you two, stop messing around. Be good." AI. Both the palm and the back of her hand were meat. Her heart ached for anyone. More importantly, she had not seen familiar people for a long time. After seeing the two little fellows, she felt particularly close. It was great to see them the moment he opened his eyes. After Lung Roashue finished speaking, Green Vessel and Azure immediately quieted down. However, they were still staring at each other restlessly. Fortunately, they did not touch each other. Seeing this, Lung Roashue could only lie to herself and be satisfied. Then, the three of them started chatting. Of course, it was mostly Lung Roashue who was asking them about the situation. When she found out that she had been in closed-door cultivation for 10 years, Lung Roashue was stunned. It had actually been that long? Oh my God! Wouldn't Godfather and the others be worried to death? At the thought of this, Lung Roashue stood up anxiously, wanting to leave the purple bamboo house. "Sister, wait." Just as Lung Roashue took a step forward, Qingju immediately reacted and stopped her. "What?" Lung Roashue looked at Baby Sue in confusion and said, "Qingju, it's taking too long. I'm afraid that Godfather and the others will be anxious." "Sister, Even if you're afraid that they'll be anxious, you should at least take a bath and change your clothes. If you go out like this, you'll definitely scare them. Qing-ju could not help but remind her. Hearing Qing-ju's words, Lung Ruoxua looked at her own clothes suspiciously. With one look, she was shocked. This dirty person is her? At this moment, the blood on Lung Ruoxua's clothes had already congealed into dark red blood clots that covered her entire body. The skin on her hands and arms that were exposed had wrinkled, as if a layer of calluses had covered them. And this was only the part that she could see. She believed that the parts that she couldn't see weren't any better. He really couldn't show his face to anyone in this ghostly appearance. After placing the two little fellows down, Lung Ruoxua turned around to wash up. After a short while, Lung Ruoxua, who was refreshed and had changed into a set of clean clothes, walked out again. "All right, you can go out now." Lung Ruoxua smiled. After leaving the purple bamboo house, Lung Ruoxua immediately saw the first elder and the others who were prohibited from approaching the purple bamboo house by green vessel. She quickly walked over. After exchanging some pleasantries with them, the great elder asked curiously, "Shui-er, are you able to advance to reverent god level?" "I can't do it now. Although I have enough divine power, I'm still lacking in other aspects. However, I definitely have the strength of a reverent god now," Lung Ruoxua said after a moment of gloominess. "Arg, after cultivating for so long, you still can't make a breakthrough?" The first elder felt a little regretful, but any cultivation was extremely dangerous, so he was still very happy to see Shui-er come out unscathed. "Yes, my heaven-defying art not only requires a large amount of divine power, but also alchemy, weapon forging, and other aspects. I have enough divine power now, and I only lack other aspects. So, I just need to specialize in other aspects in the future," Lung Ruoxua explained. Thanks. In addition, the most difficult part of the heaven-defying art was the divine power, which required a huge amount of energy. Now that she had solved the most difficult one, she didn't need to go into seclusion for the rest, as long as she had the materials. Therefore, she could go back to her previous self, deal with things while refining pills and weapons. However, this time, she would focus her energy on alchemy, weapon refining, and other aspects. Since that's the case, we'll do our best to supervise you in the future and try to help you advance as soon as possible. Hearing Lung Ruoxua's words, First Elder laughed and joked. In fact, this little girl didn't need anyone to supervise her. When she was serious, they couldn't catch up with her even if they worked together. "All right," Lung Ruoxua smiled and nodded. She then brought First Elder and the rest out of the bracelet. However, once she was out of the bracelet, Lung Ruoxua was surprised to find that there was no one in the courtyard. What was going on? Where did everyone go? She turned to look at the Great Elder, who knew that the Great Elder was also looking at her with a confused expression, and said, "Little girl, I don't know where they are. Does Azure know?" Lung Ruoxua asked as she looked at Song. "I don't know. I only care if there's an enemy ambush. I don't care about the guy who's still alive and kicking." Azure arrogantly pouted. While Lung Ruoxua was speechless, she could not help but feel worried. She had asked Qing-ju in private just now, but he had answered that she had not paid much attention to it. In the end, Lung Ruoxua and the rest finally found Master Ning's figure in a corner of an empty garden. The master of the Ning family, who was discovered by them, was holding a jar of wine in his hands, and his little face was red from drinking. His eyes were blurred, and he seemed to not see them when he saw them. "A bunch of heartless things. They actually left me alone and ran out to play." Hearing this, Lung Ruoxua and the others exchanged glances and understood. So Uncle Long and the others went out to play in a group. No wonder he didn't see anyone. But where did they go? Lung Ruoxua wanted to know where Uncle Long and the others were. After helping her drunk godfather up, she asked patiently, "Godfather, where did Uncle Long and the others go?" "Godfather? Who are you calling? I'm not Godfather, I'm Master Ning. Moreover, I only have one goddaughter. Who are you?" Master Ning's eyes widened as he studied Lung Ruoxua for a long time before he asked. He was so drunk that he couldn't even recognize her. First Elder and the others were speechless. However, Lung Roashua still patiently said, "I'm your goddaughter." "Liar! My goddaughter isn't like you." Master Ning didn't believe him. "What does your goddaughter look like?" Hearing the old man's words, First Elder could not help but ask. "My goddaughter is very pretty, not as ugly as you. So, you can't lie to me." Master Ning pointed at the Great Elder with a look of disdain. Obviously, he had taken the Great Elder as his goddaughter who was about to acknowledge her father. "Your sister. You are the ugly one. Your whole family is ugly." Hearing Master Ning's words, the First Elder was so angry that he immediately roared. Then, he grabbed Master Ning's collar and said fiercely, "Old thing, look carefully. I'm not your goddaughter." With a puff, when Shin Nuo and the others heard this, they could no longer hold back their laughter. Chapter 2852. Lung Roashua, you and I are irreconcilable, too. These two people were so cute. How could they have such a conversation? For a moment, everyone laughed so hard that they couldn't even straighten their backs. Seeing everyone laughing so happily, the Great Elder's face instantly flushed red, and he directly grabbed Master Ning's collar, dragged him to the corner, and gave him a loving education. "Your sister, who told you to randomly acknowledge a goddaughter. Open your bull eyes and see who I am." The Great Elder lectured as he roared. Master Ning was like a little wife who had been bullied, and he choked back a sob. "Wah, you're a demon that bullies people." The banging sound from not far away and the conversation between the two of them made Lung Roashua extremely speechless. It seemed that after getting drunk, her godfather's intelligence had dropped to a certain level. He had even forgotten to fight back. "AI, was this good?" Lung Roashua was a little worried. He couldn't just watch as the Great Elder beat his godfather up, right? Even though the Great Elder would not really kill him. However, getting hit would still hurt. However, before Lung Roashua could go over to stop him, loud laughter by her ears had already attracted her attention. Looking at Lu Feng, who was laughing so hard that he was panting heavily, Lung Roashua glanced at him coldly and said, "Laugh all you want, as long as you're not afraid that Godfather will take revenge on you when he wakes up." The laughter was forced to stop, and Lu Feng's face instantly turned dark. "You bastard! How could he have forgotten about this possibility?" Woo! Master Ning was beaten up by the old man, so he would definitely blame it on them. What should he do? You have to help me." Lu Feng was a little scared and quickly asked Lung Roashua for help. "He's my godfather," Lung Roashua reminded. "I'm also your good friend. You can't favor one over the other." Scoundrel Lu Feng said, but he felt a little indignant in his heart. The one who hit them was obviously that old man. Why did he have to blame it on the innocent? The heavens were really unfair. "Good luck." Lung Roashua smiled and walked towards the corner. After rescuing his godfather from the Great Elder, Lung Roashua helped him into the room and gave him a hangover pill. After a while, Master Ning finally woke up. When he woke up, the first thing he felt was pain all over. He lowered his head and saw that his body was covered in dirt, grass, and flower petals. Was he being beaten up? "You bastard! Who beat me up?" Master Ning shouted at the top of his voice, scaring Lu Feng and the others into retreating and putting on an appearance that it had nothing to do with him. However, the Great Elder wasn't afraid of Master Ning's anger. He even patted his shoulder and said calmly, "No one beat you up. You fell on your own. We were the ones who brought you into the room." Is that so?" Raising his head to look at the Great Elder, Master Ning still had some doubts, but he still believed the Great Elder's words, and then asked, "What are you doing here, you old thing? When did you come out?" "I've been out for a while," the Great Elder said generously and threw a disdainful look at Lu Feng and the others. Hearing this, Master Ning was silent for a while, and then said with a worried face, "Since you're already out, when will be able to come out?" Thanks. Lung Roashua was silent. She could not help but wail in her heart. "I'm standing right next to you." Unfortunately, Master Ning, who was lost in his own thoughts, did not notice Lung Roashua's presence at all. He was really too sad. His goddaughter was in seclusion, and he had been abandoned by Uncle Long and the others. Sob. Was there anyone in this world who had a worse life than him? After a long time, seeing that Master Ning had not noticed Lung Ruoxu's presence, First Elder pointed to the side and said, Shue came out. Did you not see her? You're out? Where is he? When Master Ning heard this, he immediately looked like he had been injected with chicken blood. He looked up and found Lung Ruoxu, who had a helpless expression on her face. Godfather. Lung Ruoxu called out softly. Bad girl, you still know how to come out? Woo-woo. She actually abandoned Godfather for so long. Master Ning started to complain nonstop after he hugged Lung Ruoxu the moment he saw her. First, he blamed Lung Ruoxu for being in closed-door cultivation for too long. Then, he complained to her and told her about the shameful behavior of Uncle Long and the others who had abandoned him. When Lung Ruoxu heard her godfather's words, she could not help but feel a little embarrassed. She's in closed-door cultivation, all right? How could he just come out? Besides, Uncle Long and the others didn't abandon him, did they? How did it become such a serious crime in Godfather's mouth? However, she finally knew the whereabouts of Uncle Long and the others. After that, Lung Ruoxu started to comfort her godfather, who had instantly become a bitter husband. After she finally managed to coax him, she decided to head to U City. Hearing this, Master Ning didn't want to be left behind and insisted on going. Lung Ruoxu had no choice but to let Song Lu stay at home and bring Master Ning along. Of course, the First Elder and the others who claimed to be from the support group were also following them to the Imperial City. She teleported all the way. Lung Ruoxu's speed scared Master Ning and the rest. When they arrived at the Imperial City, they still felt like they were in a dream. At this time, the Divine Master's estate was getting more and more lively. Originally, there were only the snakes attacking, but after joining the insects group, it became more and more lively. These bugs and the venomous snakes worked together in perfect harmony. One of them entangled the people from the God Lord's manor on the ground, while the other launched a fierce bombardment from the air. In an instant, the people of the God Lord's manor fell in droves. Most of them were poisoned. Whether it was snake venom or bee venom, all of them were twitching and foaming at the mouth without exception. In addition, their bodies were red and swollen, and they were itching uncontrollably. Not long after, the only one who was unharmed on the God Lord's manor side was Wu Chun. Of course, she was not completely unscathed. However, because she was also poisonous, the poisonous snakes and insects present had a relatively small effect on her. However, no one would be in a good mood after being entangled by a group of slippery and disgusting venomous snakes and bugs. Seeing more and more poisonous snakes and insects wrap around the fog and about to wrap her whole body, Uncle Long, who was watching from the side, couldn't help but poke Ice Soul and ask, Senior Ice Soul, are we just going to watch? What else? Do you think we'll have a chance to make a move? Ice Spirit said gloomily as she glanced at the scene. I really don't have any. Uncle Long turned around and looked at Wu Chun, who was surrounded by insects. This woman really attracted too many bugs. Then let's just watch the show. Don't let boss work hard for nothing. Ice Spirit said helplessly. Hearing this, Uncle Long didn't have any good ideas other than nodding. At this moment, Wu Xian was almost driven mad by anger. Bastard! These hateful guys were simply looking for death. They actually all stuck to her body, biting, scratching, and entangled her tightly, leaving her with no time to fight back. How long had it been since he had felt so aggrieved? Chapter 2853. Lung Ruoxu, you and I are irreconcilable. 3. The mist was furious. The hatred in his heart towards Lung Ruoxu was like a torrential river, unending. She, who was at her wits' end with the bugs, couldn't help but roar. Lung Ruoxu, you stinky brat. I won't let you off. Ripple Mist, you bitch. It's not like our Shue is the one commanding these snakes and bugs. Why are you scolding her? This is where you're wrong. Even if you're helpless, you can't implicate the innocent, right? Uncle Long replied with a smile when he heard the angry words of the Mist Ripple. At the same time, he was also sighing in his heart. Since he didn't have the chance to fight against Fog, he could only attack this bitch with words. And Uncle Long's strategy was indeed successful. Wu Xian was so angry at Uncle Long's words that she wanted to cut him into pieces, but she was tightly entangled by the poisonous snakes and insects and couldn't do anything at all. How detestable! How detestable! These people, these animals all deserve to die. The anger in Ripple's heart surged, and she continued to roar. Nothing to do with her? She was innocent? Isn't that little beast her beast? She was the most innocent one, okay? Little bastard, who are you talking about? Suddenly, a chuckling voice interrupted. As soon as Wu Jing heard this, she immediately roared out reflexively. I'm talking about you, you little bastard. After shouting, she realized that something was wrong. Was she scolding him? For a moment, Wu Han was so angry that her IQ was frighteningly low and she couldn't quite get over it. However, the cheerful laughter continued to enter her ears. Instantly, she was even more furious. Fuck, why did this voice sound so familiar? Through the gap left behind by the insect, Wu Xian saw Lung Ruoxue leading a group of people and walking towards her. As expected, it was that stinky girl. Wu Xian's aggro had a target now. Among these people, Lung Ruoxue was undoubtedly the most prominent and the most eye-catching. At this moment, Uncle Long and the others also saw Lung Ruoxue. They were pleasantly surprised and excitedly went forward. Everyone started to exchange pleasantries in front of Wu Xian. When she heard the crowd's words of concern for Lung Ruoxue, Ripple Mist was about to explode from anger. Fuck, he was really looking for death. At this time, the other party was actually making small talk. He really didn't take her seriously. The furious Fog Phoenix tried her best to find chance. In an instant, a thin vine flew towards Lung Ruoxue. Even though Lung Ruoxue was chatting with Uncle Long and the others, she had been secretly observing Fog Ripple from the corner of her eyes. Thus, she had noticed at the moment Fog Ripple moved. When the vine was within reach, Lung Ruoxue reached out with her bare hands and pulled the vine into her grasp. The vine struggled violently in an attempt to escape from Lung Ruoxue's control. However, Lung Ruoxue was tugging on it so tightly that Wu Chun could not get rid of her. Seeing this, Wu Chun became anxious. Thanks, damn girl. Quickly let go of me. Wu Xian roared. His voice resounded through the sky. Let go of you, so that you can continue to attack me? Are you the idiot here? Or am I the idiot here? Lung Ruoxue asked with a faint smile. Then, he curiously observed the vine. This vine was quite thin, and there was also a small suction cup at the top. It was covered with sharp teeth, and it exuded a chilling aura. This thing of yours is really ugly. Lung Ruoxue observed for a while, and said with a look of disdain. Ugly in what way? You are the ugly one. Hearing that her rattan was ugly, Wu Jing was unhappy. In her opinion, she was beautiful from head to toe, and there was nothing ugly about her. Therefore, she would never allow anyone to say that she was ugly. How could she be ugly? Look at its mouth. It has so many sharp and thin teeth. It doesn't fit at all. Lung Ruoxue didn't think much of Wu Ice's words and continued to point at the vines. What do you know? This is beautiful. River Ripple roared. All right, I know that you plants have a different aesthetic sense. Seeing the other party quibbling, Lung Ruoxue could only reply with a helpless expression. Plant? I'm a god lord, not a plant. Lung Ruoxue's words caused Wu Chun to explode with anger once again. This time, Lung Ruoxue felt even more helpless. She could not help but ask, You're disgusted by your plant identity, so you keep changing your blood, right? It's a pity that you can't become a human even if you change all your blood. He couldn't even be considered a beast, so why did he have to be neither human nor ghost? How good would it be if you were just an honest plant? Why do you have to be a human? You shut up. Shut up. Otherwise, it'll kill you. After hearing these words, Wu Yan's madness directly escalated. She had always felt that her identity was a hindrance to her love life. So even if she was a plant, she was not very willing to let others mention it, especially when the person mentioned was her most hated enemy, which was even more unacceptable to her. Lung Ruoxue also seemed to be very easygoing and could not help but remind him, all right, They'll shut up, but just because I don't say it doesn't mean that others won't say it. Yes, that's right. We will all say that you are a plant that no one wants. Actually, it's not embarrassing to be a plant. You are the one who's embarrassing. It has nothing to do with your identity as a plant. As soon as Lung Ruoxue finished speaking, Uncle Long immediately followed up on the topic. The two of them cooperated flawlessly. These words successfully angered Ripple even more. Then, everyone heard Ripple's hoarse roar. You all deserve to die. I won't let you off, they'll kill you all. Yes. However, it seems that you will have to wait until you get rid of these poisonous snakes and insects. Lung Ruoxue reminded her with a smile, afraid that she would forget. After some thought, Lung Ruoxue added, but we won't wait for you, so we'll take our leave first. Lung Ruoxue decided to retreat with her men. Although she really wanted to fight with Rhyme Ice and see how much stronger she was compared to the Rhyme Bitch, it was obvious that she was not in her best condition at the moment, and she did not want to fight with a lunatic. So, she would try again when she had the chance. In any case, the divine power in her body was abnormally abundant now, so it was easy for her to teleport anywhere she wanted to. At this moment, Lung Ruoxue truly felt that she was a nouveau riche. After all, other than Wu Yin, no one should have as much divine power as her. Thinking of this, Lung Ruoxue was even more determined to return home. She had more important things to do than finding trouble with Rhyme Ice, so she was not willing to waste her time on this wretched Rhyme Ice Queen. However, when Wu Jing heard that Lung Ruoxue wanted to leave, she immediately shouted, Stinky girl, you're not allowed to leave. You're not allowed to leave. Let's fight for 300 rounds. I'm sorry. I'm very busy. I don't have time to fight with you. But don't worry. When I have time, it'll naturally come and find you. Lung Ruoxue rejected. She then turned to Uncle Long and the rest. Uncle Long, let's call it a day. Let's go back first. Chapter 2854. The Missing 3 Beast Tribes 1. Hearing that they were really going back, Master Ning couldn't help but say weakly, I've just arrived, and but hasn't even warmed up yet. We've been here for a long time, but we haven't had the chance to warm up either. So I agree to go back. Uncle Long said helplessly. Hearing this, Master Ning suddenly sympathized with Uncle Long and the others. He had thought that the other party would have a chance to fight a hot-blooded battle, but who knew that they had not made a move yet? In an instant, the trauma in his heart was completely healed. Then, he ran to Uncle Long and said honestly, what a pity. You guys are just like me, who was left behind in Demon City. Then who was the hero that defeated the people from the Divine Master's residence? Master Ning was very curious about this hero. He had stolen the limelight from Uncle Long and the others, which indirectly avenged him for being abandoned. Cool. Great. Master Ning laughed 3 times in his heart. Facing Master Ning's gloating, Uncle Long pointed to the treasure in Ice Soul's arms and said, the hero you're talking about has fainted due to mental exhaustion. Looking in the direction of Uncle Long, Master Ning understood. Lung Ruoxue also looked over curiously. She also saw the dark golden ball of fur in Ice Soul's arms, but she did not recognize who this little fellow was. What is it? Lung Ruoxue asked. Your baby. Uncle Long replied calmly. Baby? Lung Ruoxue was speechless. Could she say that her own baby was not like this? He counted the big furry tail of the little beastie. There were a total of 12 of them, each one fluffy and beautiful, making one unable to let go of them. It's your baby. Seeing that Lung Ruoxue was still a little suspicious, Uncle Long asked for confirmation. Did the baby level up? Lung Ruoxue continued to be puzzled. Why did she have to have so many more tails after she leveled up? Can't you grow taller? Yes, I am. Uncle Long nodded. Lung Ruoxue had no choice but to believe it. Then, she took the unconscious baby from Ice Spirit's hands. However, she heard the baby snoring and was speechless. Didn't they say that the baby had overdrawn his mental power and fainted? Why was he still snoring? However, now was not the time to figure this out. He gave a look to Uncle Long and the rest, and Lung Ruoxue and the rest retreated. Of course, before she left, Lung Ruoxue did not forget to cut off the vine in her hand. She also greeted the venomous snakes and bugs that were entangling the ripple mist slut. Well, retreat first. You can also retreat. Receive, old venomous snake, who knew that the lady in front of him had a close relationship with the beast god, replied in a friendly manner. After Lung Ruoxue and the rest disappeared, he also sent out a signal to prepare for a retreat. In an instant, the countless venomous snakes and insects that were originally densely packed disappeared together with a speed faster than when they came. At this time, the fog ice, which had been bound and unable to use its full power, could finally move. But now that he could move, was it useful? Lung Ruoxue and the rest had left. The venomous snakes and bugs had left as well. Even if she wanted to vent her anger, she could not find anyone else. Thanks at this moment, the pain from her body reminded her that she had been hurt by Lung Ruoxue. He bent down and picked up the half-wriggling rattan on the ground. He was so angry that his whole body seemed to be on fire. He shouted towards the sky, "Lung Ruoxue, you and I are irreconcilable." This voice contained a trace of Wu Xian's divine power, so it spread far and wide. Lung Ruoxue and the others who had already teleported away naturally heard the wailing of the ripple mist slut. However, no one took it to heart. As they walked, Uncle Long couldn't help but tease, "The ripple mist bitch said that she wants to be irreconcilable with you." Uncle Long, don't worry. You're definitely on her list of irreconcilable enemies. So, I'm not afraid with you as my companions. Lung Ruoxue replied with a smile. But I'm scared, Uncle Long said, feigning fear. Everyone burst into laughter at Uncle Long's rare joke. It's okay, he'll protect you. Lung Ruoxue had enough of laughing and cooperated. Yes, I knew that is the kindest. Uncle Long nodded his head in satisfaction. Then he looked at Lung Ruoxue with a puzzled expression and asked, you've come out of seclusion, but why didn't you advance? I'm still lacking in other aspects, especially beast taming. Lung Ruoxue replied helplessly. Beastie, what should I do with you? The top priority was to get more beasts. All this while, what she lacked the most was also beasts. Of course, what she lacked was beasts that could make her use the beast taming technique. Those that automatically recognized their masters did not count. The higher the level of the beast, wouldn't it also be of help to the level of the beast taming technique? Uncle Long asked after some thought. Yes. Lung Ruoxue nodded. That's easy. We haven't even taken care of the dragon, phoenix, and white tiger races yet. I think it's better to do it now than today. Let's go now. Uncle Long suggested excitedly. He didn't have enough fun at Imperial City, so he really wanted to find someone to cause trouble for. These 3 clans. Lung Ruoxue was a little hesitant. Although she had already planned to take action against these 3 races, she had originally planned to leave the White Tiger race and the Phoenix race for Fengzhan and Baisu. Therefore, she had never really made a move against these 2 races. As for the Dragon race, she could give it a try. They'll have to clean it up sooner or later, Uncle Long nodded calmly. We're going to deal with the White Tiger race as well. Master Ning couldn't help but ask. Since the current White Tiger King was captured, the White Tiger Great Elder had been trying to maintain a good relationship with Demon City. If he knew that such a day would come, would the White Tiger Great Elder regret? Of course. Business was business, and tidying up was tidying up. These were 2 different things that could not be mixed together. Furthermore, the current White Tiger race is no longer the same as before. If we take care of them, the previous White Tiger King will definitely be grateful to us. Uncle Long said matter-of-factly. Are you sure? Master Ning blinked and asked lightly. Then, he turned to Ice Spirit, as if he wanted to hear the opinion of the leader of the 4 divine beasts. Although the 4 beast kings were not as harmonious as before, they were still on the same side at this critical moment. Therefore, Ice Spirit's opinion was very important. With Master Ning taking the lead, everyone's eyes collectively shifted. Why are you all looking at me? Ice Spirit asked, not knowing whether to laugh or cry. I'm not even from the White Tiger race. They had no choice but to look at you. If you were to protect them, it would really be difficult for them to make a move. Everyone secretly sighed as they looked at the ice spirit even more intently. If you want to pack up, go ahead. There's no need to ask for my opinion. I won't interfere in the matters of the white tiger race. Ice spirit sighed helplessly. With Senior's words, we can be at ease, Uncle Long said with a smile. Ice spirit was speechless. Even his boss called Shui his big sister. So what was the big deal in dealing with a traitor subordinate of the beast deity? Besides, he didn't kill them. He just tamed them. That's why the ice spirit didn't care about this. Chapter 2855. The Missing 3 Beast Tribes 2. Besides, Ice Spirit had always been a person who prioritized the big picture. He could tell that the little girl needed to tame many beasts for her cultivation. How could he not cooperate? Knowing that Ice Spirit didn't mind, Uncle Long and the rest had no more worries. They even incited Lung Ruoxue impatiently. Shui, let's quickly go and take down the Dragon Race, Phoenix Race, and White Tiger Race. Why the hurry? She still wanted to go home and have a good chat with Uncle Dragon and the others to understand more about Demon City. However, seeing how Uncle Long and the others looked as if they wanted the world to be in chaos, Lung Ruoxue was too embarrassed to reject them. Just as she was about to nod in agreement, a buzzing sound entered everyone's ears. Everyone immediately stopped and turned around, just in time to see a piece of golden-colored cloud flying in their direction at an extremely fast speed. What? What was going on? Everyone was confused. After a short while, the large golden bee brought a group of smaller golden bees and flew in front of Lung Ruoxue and the others. Then, the large bee looked at Lung Ruoxue with a bashful expression and did not say a word. As a matter of fact, the golden bee was feeling very uneasy. The reason why it chased after them was agreed upon by the bugs. However, many bugs did not like humans, and humans hated bugs as well. However, they wanted to serve the beast god. After a serious discussion, the bugs decided to send the Golden Bee clan, which was more likable and would not be hated by humans, to serve the beast god. In this way, they would have the opportunity to help the beast god if he needed anything. There was no need to trouble the beast god to summon them with mental power. However, when it was in front of Lung Ruoxue, the leader of the Golden Bees suddenly felt a sense of homesickness. It didn't know if the humans would welcome them or if the beast deity would need them. After all, they were of low status. Lung Ruoxue looked at the very human-like expression of the bee in front of her. The veins on her forehead were throbbing. What was the rhythm of this sudden shyness of the bee? If you have something to say it. Is there something? After waiting for a long time, Lung Ruoxue could only take the initiative to ask when she saw that the big bee was already playing with its claws uneasily, but it was not saying anything. Where are you guys going? After hesitating for a long time, the golden bee asked softly, her cheeks blushing. Lung Ruoxue was about to say that she wanted to go to the Dragon Clan, but after some thought, she said, if you have something to say, then say it. Towards friendly beastie, Lung Ruoxue had always been very friendly. This was also the main reason why her beast-taming skill had always been at the lowest level. We want to stay by the beast deity's side. Hearing Lung Ruoxue's words, the golden bee took in a deep breath and gathered its courage. Lung Ruoxue was stunned. Shouldn't she be asking baby Sue about this? Although she had already found out about her baby's identity from her godfather, she was still a little unaccustomed to it. She didn't know why the big bee had come to find her. Lung Ruoxue could not figure it out, but the leader of the golden bees was clear. If they asked the beast god, they might be rejected. But if they asked this human lady, if she agreed, the beast god would not reject them. They knew that this lady was the sister that the beast god had mentioned. To be called Big Sister by the beast deity, one could only imagine her status. Therefore, the intelligent bees decided to cling onto Lung Ruoxue, the strong and powerful one. That way, the beast deity would not chase them away. It could be seen that they had a very good plan. Thanks, however, Lung Ruoxue was in a difficult position. She, who had always respected beasts, really did not want to make any decisions for her baby. However, at this time, Uncle Long and the others kept winking at her, wanting her to accept these bees. These little guys were all very difficult secret weapons. More importantly, the honey they produced was quite delicious. Helpless, Lung Ruoxue could only nod in agreement. Seeing that Lung Ruoxue had agreed, the big golden bee immediately started buzzing. The other bees quickly followed suit in high spirits, causing Lung Ruoxue to be speechless. Take us in too. Suddenly, a slightly aged voice appeared in the ears of Lung Ruoxue and the others. Lung Ruoxue and the rest lowered their heads to take a look. They did not know when, but those colorful venomous snakes had also appeared. As for their ability to remain undetectable, everyone admired them. But more than that, they were speechless. These venomous snakes always appeared in a way that caught people off guard. To the enemy, they were definitely the most fatal opponents. Of course, he had to take in such beastie. He had to accept it. Hence, this time, without Lung Ruoxue's approval, Uncle Long made the decision. Welcome to the team. Thank you. We still have some brothers and sisters. Can you accept them as well? At this time, the old venomous snake, who was the leader, asked with an embarrassed look. Is it also a snake? Uncle Dragon swallowed his saliva and asked carefully. With so many venomous snakes, will the little ones in Demon City be scared? He was suddenly a little worried. No, old venomous snake quickly denied. If that's the case, then we welcome them to join us. However, we have a deep hatred for the Ripple Witch, so you'd better be prepared. Uncle Long couldn't help but remind him. Don't worry, we have a grudge against her too. Old venomous snake expressed his opinion when he heard Uncle Long's words. If that's the case, all the more we should join forces. Uncle Long said, satisfied. Yes. Old venomous snake also nodded in satisfaction, and then said, let these little ones follow you. They'll go back and inform the other beasts. All right, but we won't be going home for now. After you've gathered the other beasts, you can bring them to Demon City. Uncle Long said. Hearing Uncle Long say that he wasn't going home, Old Snake couldn't help but ask curiously, You're not going home? Where do you plan to go? Go and take care of the dragon, phoenix, and white tiger race. Uncle Long said honestly. When Old Venomous Snake heard this, he immediately said, Then he'll go with you to join in the fun. I've long found the 4-king level divine beast to be an eyesore. Humph. She's just a little pretty. All of them act like it's a big deal. Old Venomous Snake's words were full of contempt, but made Uncle Long and the others break out in cold sweat. There were 4-king level divine beasts among them, and it was the leader of the group. However, to everyone's disbelief, Ice Spirit was rather calm, as if the old viper was talking about someone else. Seeing this, Uncle Long and the others immediately had a deep respect for Ice Spirit. Look at him. This was a true, powerful, magical beast. It definitely wouldn't assume that it was him just because of a few words from someone else. As a human, as a beast, you should be as cold as ice. In fact, Ice Soul was well aware that he was not one of the 4 king divine beasts that the old snake disliked, because he had a good relationship with the old snake. However, the relationship between the old snake and the other 3 kings of the 3 clans that were currently sealed was quite stiff. As long as there was a chance, they would definitely hit each other when they were down and would not wait to step the other into the dust. As a result, the old venomous snake naturally loathed the clansmen of those 3 fellows. Chapter 2856. The Missing 3 Beast Tribe 3. At this time, Old Snake also saw through everyone's thoughts. He hooked Ice Spirit's arm with his tail and said, Don't misunderstand, everyone. I'm very close to Ice Soul. We're good friends. Of the 4 divine beasts, the only one I have a good impression of is the Cheelin clan. As it turns out, my eyes are very accurate. The clansmen of the other 3 clans aren't good people either. Otherwise, they wouldn't have betrayed us. In the past, if it wasn't for the betrayal of the 3 races that caught them off guard, their great beast god wouldn't have fallen, and they wouldn't have been forced to hide. But now, the beast god had been reborn, and they could see the light of day again. So at this moment, Old Venomous Snake was quite excited. When Lung Ruashua heard that the old venomous snake in front of her claimed that he was good friend with Ice Spirit, she could not help but sigh. This old venomous snake really knew how to keep up with the times. He seemed to be able to accept new things. Just like that, old venomous snake brought his sons and grandsons to join Lung Ruakshu's group. Together, they followed Lung Ruashua and the others in a grandiose manner as they advanced towards the territories of the Dragon, Phoenix, and White Tiger clans. The first place they went to was the Phoenix clan. This was because this place was the closest to the Phoenix clan's territory. However, when they arrived at the Phoenix clan, Lung Ruashua and the others realized that there were only 2 to 3 members of the Phoenix clan in the clan. It was a pitiful number. As such, everyone suddenly lost interest. After that, he turned around and headed to the White Tiger race. At first, Lung Ruashua was still hesitating whether she should come here right now. After all, the relationship between the White Tiger race's Grand Elder and them had been pretty good ever since the White Tiger King incident. However, when she arrived at the White Tiger race, there were only a few White Tigers left to guard the White Tiger race. The rest, including the White Tiger race's Grand Elder, were actually not present. This was really too strange. Lung Ruashua and the rest were confused. They expressed their doubts about the 2 beastmen running away from home on such a large scale. Although these 3 races had previously besieged Demon City, they hadn't even attacked the ordinary clansmen yet. This was especially true for the White Tiger race. It could be said that due to the efforts of the White Tiger's Great Elder, their relationship with Demon City had always been considered good, and nothing major had happened since. If the Phoenix race could be explained to be hiding from them, then there was no need for the White Tiger race to hide from them either. Leaving the White Tiger race resentfully, Lung Ruashua and the rest were extremely disappointed. After that, they rushed to the Dragon Clan. When he arrived at the Dragon Clan, the entire Dragon Clan was empty. Looking at the overgrown weeds in the Dragon Clan's territory, everyone was speechless. Previously, when he was at the Phoenix and White Tiger race, he heard from the Phoenixes and White Tigers that were guarding the place that their clansmen had all gone out to train. What about the Dragon race? Not a single dragon was left behind. Wasn't he afraid that his territory would be taken over by other beasties? Of course, there definitely wouldn't be many beasts that would dare to openly occupy the territories of the 4 great King Divine beasts. But this didn't mean that there weren't any. And even if a dragon was left behind, it would be enough to serve the purpose of deterring the other beasts. It was clear that this disappearance was really unusual. Lung Ruashua would never believe that in order to go out and gain experience, he would hide from her, afraid of her revenge, and even give up his territory. She turned to Ice Spirit and asked, "Senior Ice Spirit, is it possible that they're afraid of my revenge, so they've all gone into hiding and abandoned their territory? How is this possible? This territory was fought hard for by us in the past. Even if our clansmen lose their lives, we can't just hand over the territory to someone else." Ice Spirit said with certainty. A piece of territory was extremely important to Beastie. This was because the territory was not only related to the development of a race, but also played a key role in the growth of the younger members of the race. At the same time, it was also a symbol of the powerful beast race. And the beast race, without a territory, was naturally not powerful. More importantly, the territories of the 4 King Divine Beast clans were all very suitable for their own clansmen to live in. As such, it was even more impossible for them to give it to other beasts. But the weeds in the Dragon Clan's territory are already so tall. Clearly, they've left for a long time. Lung Ruashua glanced at the weeds on the ground. Thanks, something must have happened to them. At this moment, old venomous snake, who had just returned from his trip, interrupted Lung Ruakshu's words. An accident? Lung Ruashua and the others were astonished. Hearing this, Uncle Long tried to recall in detail. He had never heard of any human or beast going missing in the divine realm. How did this happen? Are you sure? Ice Spirit asked seriously. You still don't believe in my sense of smell? I've discovered an aura here that doesn't belong to those stinky dragons. It should be that of humans. Old venomous snake said with confidence. We've been here before. Hearing old venomous snake's words, Lung Ruashua couldn't help but remind him. It's not yours. I know your aura. Old venomous snake said with certainty. Believe in its words. Its sense of smell is invincible. Ice Spirit sighed. All right then. Since Ice Spirit had already said so, Lung Ruashua could only believe her. However, her curious eyes could not help but turn to look at old venomous snake. Invincible sense of smell? Was he more powerful than a dog? Boss sister, please believe in my judgment. Back then, I was in charge of reconnaissance. Seeing that Lung Ruashua was still a little suspicious, old venomous snake couldn't help but be filled with confidence. His face even revealed an expression of reminiscence. I believe you are. Also, you can call me Shue. Lung Ruashua smiled faintly. I'm very happy that boss sister believes me, but I can't call you Shue. Old venomous snake said with a serious expression. In its eyes, it was just a subordinate, and its boss sister was obviously older than its boss. How could it call her by her name? More importantly, he felt that subordinates should act like subordinates. Calling his superior's sister by her name was completely disrespectful to his boss. And the old viper, who had always valued hierarchy, would never allow himself to make such a mistake. Lung Ruashua felt a little helpless when she heard its words. She didn't expect this old snake to be so stubborn. In addition, she was also a little worried. If he didn't call her Shue, then what should he call her? One had to know that the people around her who were slightly closer to her would directly call her by her name. Since this old snake was baby's subordinate, they would definitely be familiar with each other in the future. He couldn't possibly call her Miss Long, right? Lung Ruashua was in a difficult position. Old venomous snake didn't know what to call her, but it was definitely not appropriate to keep calling her big sister. Why don't we call her Miss Long for the time being? Uncle Long could only interrupt when he saw the man and the snake staring at each other without saying anything. Yes. When old venomous snake heard this, he immediately nodded in agreement. Lung Ruashua could only nod in agreement when she saw that the other party had agreed. With the form of address confirmed, old venomous snake continued with his own judgment. The reason why I'm so sure that something has happened to them is because I discovered this. With that, old venomous snake produced a black belt out of nowhere. Looking at the black belt, Lung Ruashua felt a sense of déjà vu. However, she cannot recall where she had seen it before. Chapter 2857. The Missing 3 Beast Tribe for Shue. Do you find this belt familiar? Seeing Lung Ruakshu's pensive look, Uncle Long could not help but ask. Yeah, but I just can't remember where I've seen it before. Lung Ruashua said, feeling a little depressed. Miss Lung, take a closer look and see if you can find anything. When old venomous snake heard this, he quickly passed the belt to Lung Ruashua. Taking the belt, Lung Ruashua observed it carefully. This belt was too ordinary. There was nothing special about it, and there was no trace of the identity of the person on it. After a while, Lung Ruashua shook her head helplessly. Seeing that she still couldn't remember, everyone could only follow her and think hard. Who do you guys think is the most likely to act against the dragon race, phoenix race, and white tiger race? After thinking for a long time, Uncle Long asked. Right now, these 3 tribes have no leaders and their beast hearts are scattered, so there are many people who want to take advantage of them. However, not many had the ability to deal with them. The most suspicious ones were the 8 great divine regions. In addition, this might not be done by one family, but by a few. Dongfang Lin analyzed after some thought. As soon as Dongfang Lin's words fell, everyone and all the beasts present couldn't help but turn their eyes to Master Ning. Their suspicious and probing gazes made Master Ning explode. Why are you all looking at me? I didn't lay my hands on the dragon race, phoenix race, or white tiger race. Master Ning shouted angrily. Calm down. We didn't say that you did it. You were with us the whole time, so we know very well whether you did it or not. Smiling, Uncle Long quickly comforted him. Since you know that I've been with you all this time, why are you still looking at me like this? After hearing this, Master Ning was depressed to the extreme. How could they bully people like this? We just want to know if there's anyone from the Ning family doing this behind your back. Uncle Long asked carefully. I won tea. Without my permission, they would never dare to do such a thing. I can guarantee it. Master Ning immediately made a solemn vow. Could that be the Yao clan? Uncle Long was still suspicious. The old man of the Yao family has rarely appeared in public in the past 10 years, so it's hard to say. Master Ning thought carefully and said, it's also possible that a few of them are working together. Dongfang Lin repeated, if that's the case, isn't the murderer a little hard to guess? Uncle Long said helplessly, don't guess anymore. Just send someone to investigate. Lung Ruoxue suggested. Thanks, Xue. We don't have anyone to send at the moment. Uncle Long told Lung Ruoxue the truth uneasily. Lung Ruoxue was silent. Where was he? AI. Didn't she say that she wanted to go home and have a deep chat? It was obvious that there was something she didn't know. Xue, we're the only people you can send at the moment. Dongfang Lin added when he saw that Lung Ruoxue seemed to be at a loss. I see. Then why don't I do it myself, and you all go home to wait for me? Lung Ruoxue said after some thought. These people's seniority was higher than hers, so she'd better stay at home. I don't want to go back. After hearing Lung Ruoxue's words, everyone spoke in unison. What kind of rhythm is this? Lung Ruoxue was even more helpless. Xue, now that something has happened to our target beastie, how can we just go back like this? I feel that we should immediately head to the Phoenix and White Tiger tribes and have a good heart-to-heart talk with their only remaining offsprings to see if there are any suspicious people around. Oof. You dare to snatch food from our Xue's mouth. You really don't want to live. Seeing that Lung Ruoxue had been frightened, Uncle Long put on a gentle smile and explained. His words made everyone nod their heads. Lung Ruoxue, on the other hand, was helpless. It seemed that Uncle Long and the others had taken those beasts as their own. However, Uncle Long's words weren't without reason. They should indeed go and have a heart-to-heart talk with the remaining phoenixes and white tigers. At the same time, they also had to protect the few remaining magical beasts so that they could find out the true culprit who had abducted the dragon, phoenix, and white tiger race. There's also us. We can all help. Previously, we didn't search the phoenix and white tiger race carefully. Now we have to return and look for more suspicious clues. The old venomous snake also said he truly felt that the opportunity for his clan to make a contribution had come. If he could find out the whereabouts of those beastmen who had eyes on their heads from their hands, his clan would be able to hold their heads high in front of those 3 beastmen in the future. As long as he thought that his clan might become the saviors of those 3 clans, old venomous snake's mood instantly brightened. It was even better than beating up those 3 clans. Since that's the case, let's return to the Phoenix and White Tiger race then. Lung Ruoxue saw that everyone had agreed, so she naturally had no reason to reject. However, if they were to return, it would definitely be a disaster for the Phoenix and White Tiger that stayed behind. They arrived at the Phoenix clan first. Seeing Lung Ruoxue and the rest return, the few phoenixes that were left behind felt so depressed that they wanted to bang their heads against the wall. Sob, why did these fiends return? Do they still want to live? Initially, they were already on tenterhooks about the arrival of Lung Ruoxue and the rest. They had finally managed to send those fiends away safely, and after a few days of peace, those fiends had actually returned. And this time, Lung Ruoxue didn't waste any words. She immediately captured a few phoenixes and brought everyone to the White Tiger race. Actually, the White Tigers of the White Tiger race weren't as afraid of their arrival as the phoenixes. However, they wouldn't welcome them either. After all, no one could forget that their king was still in Lung Ruoxue's hands. The relationship between their White Tiger race and Lung Ruoxue was also so fragile that it couldn't withstand a single blow. They had to be on guard against Lung Ruoxue falling out with them. Hence, Lung Ruoxue could definitely be considered the most unwelcome guest of the White Tiger race. However, they had no choice but to welcome her with a smile. Such a fact also meant that the White Tigers would never have any confidence when facing Lung Ruoxue and the others. Chapter 2858, The Ning Family. 1. Seeing Lung Ruoxue and the rest turn around, the few white tigers left to guard the place could only smile stiffly and say in a depressed tone, It's coming. They're here. Lung Ruoxue replied with a smile. However, the more she thought about it, the more she felt that this conversation was very strange. It sounded a little familiar, didn't it? After Lung Ruoxue's reply, the few white tigers were speechless for a long time. They didn't know how to continue. In fact, the white tigers really wanted to ask, "Why did you come back?" But no one dared to say this. Especially after seeing that the other party had captured a few phoenixes, no one dared to ask. Just like that, the white tiger, Lung Ruoxue, and the others stared at each other. After a long while, one of the white tigers suddenly remembered that Lung Ruoxue and the rest were still standing there. He quickly said, Then please take a seat." Lung Ruoxue and the others were silent. Uncle Long took a deep breath and asked, "You want us to sit on the ground?" "Arg, it wasn't tea. It wasn't tea. Please come to the living room." The white tiger's heart was in his throat when he heard this. He was afraid that the other party would pick a fight with him because of his inappropriate language. When they respectfully invited Lung Ruoxue and the others into the living room and saw that the other party did not take the opportunity to cause a scene, the white tigers finally felt at ease. After that, they went to prepare food for Lung Ruoxue and the rest in a panic. Seeing how they were so busy but were clueless and dazed, Lung Ruoxue quickly stopped them and said, "Don't be busy, sit down, I have something to ask you." Lung Ruoxue's voice was a little loud. When the white tigers heard her, they were so frightened that their hearts trembled. Then they sat down stiffly beside them. Seeing that the white tigers were sitting far away, Lung Ruoxue raised her eyebrows and asked indifferently, "What? Do you think I'm going to eat you? All of you sit here." When they saw Lung Ruoxue pointing to the empty seats beside them for them to sit, the white tigers stood up unwillingly with a sad face. Then they walked with heavy steps, slowly towards Lung Ruoxue. "You bastard! You guys should move quickly. We don't have that much time to waste on you." The cowardice of these white tigers instantly infuriated Uncle Long. This roar of his was really effective. The few white tigers immediately quivered and ran to Lung Ruoxue's side. They sat down in the seats that were specially reserved for them. "Tell me about your clansmen who ran away from home. What time did they leave? Did they say goodbye to their clansmen before leaving? In addition, have any strangers come here?" Seeing that the white tiger had sat down, Lung Ruoxue asked a few questions in a row. The white tigers could not help but look at each other. There were so many questions. Which one should they answer first? Seeing through their thoughts, Uncle Long roared, "Answer me one by one. Answer seriously, or you'll have to bear the consequences." Upon hearing this, the white tigers immediately sat up straight, like obedient babies. Then, the white tiger, who was the most powerful among them, spoke first. "I don't know when they left, because they usually leave at night, so no clansmen saw them. As for the greeting, I don't think they did." After this white tiger finished speaking, the other white tiger continued, "No strangers have come to the clan in the past few years." After answering seriously, the few white tigers looked at Lung Ruoxue and the others uneasily like primary school students. They wondered if the other party would be satisfied with their answer. "Sob, it felt so difficult to answer. Are you sure no strangers have been here?" Lung Ruoxue's suspicions deepened when she heard the white tigers say that their clansmen had chosen to leave at night, but no one had seen them. Was there a need to be so mysterious when facing his own family? "No, I didn't tea. Our white tiger race doesn't welcome strangers." A white tiger replied. In reality, he wanted to say that he did not welcome humans. However, when he thought of the identities of Lung Ruoxue and the others, he forcefully changed the word human to stranger. "Thanks, so you didn't know when the clansmen left? Since you're not sure, how can you be sure that they've gone out to gain experience?" Lung Ruoxue asked again to confirm. They left a letter to the clan before they left, so we knew about it." A certain white tiger said carefully. Lung Ruoxue and the rest could not help but laugh when they heard that the white tiger had left a letter before it left. Uncle Long couldn't help but laugh out loud before saying, I only found out today that your white tiger race likes to write letters. What a joke. The beasts hated things related to words the most because most of them could not read. They were once laughed at by humans for their lack of literacy. So from then on, the beasts hated words. Of course, this was not absolute. There were still some beasts who could read, but most of them hated words. When Lung Ruoxue and the rest heard that every beastie that had left home had left a letter to inform them of their whereabouts, their first reaction was that it was impossible. When the white tigers heard this, they blushed and said, "These few years, under the great elder's education, every white tiger has started to learn to read, so it's not a problem for them to trust us with simple words. If that's the case, then they'll have to trouble you to show us the letters left behind by the white tigers," Lung Ruoxue suggested after hearing this. "All right, please wait a moment." A white tiger stood up and walked out. Not long after, he returned with a thick stack of paper in his hand. After passing the paper to Lung Ruoxue, the white tiger returned to its original position. After Lung Ruoxue flipped through it briefly, she passed the thick stack of papers to Uncle Long and the others. After everyone had finished looking around, Lung Ruoxue asked, "What are your thoughts?" The white tiger race's handwriting is not bad. The words are neat and imposing. It just doesn't look like it was written by someone who only learned how to write for a few years. Master Ning was the first to express his opinion after a glance. "Why do I feel that these words are somewhat similar? It's as if they were all written by the same person." Uncle Long scratched his head in confusion. Hearing him say this, Master Ning and the others lowered their heads and looked carefully again. With one look, they really saw many problems. These words were indeed written by a single person. Although the other party had deliberately changed the style, it is impossible to change the habits of many years. Dongfang Lin said with certainty after a careful observation. "Did you hear that? This word was written by a person, not your family's handwriting." Lung Ruoxue turned to the few white tigers beside her and said after hearing Dongfang Lin's words, This is impossible," he exclaimed. The white tigers were dumbfounded when they heard this. Something might have happened to your family. Seeing this, Lung Ruoxue could only make her words more clear. But in this case, the white tigers found it even more impossible to believe her. Not only did they not believe her, they even looked at Lung Ruoxue with suspicion. However, no one had the guts to question Lung Ruoxue. Lung Ruoxue understood when she saw their expressions. After that, she pointed to the few phoenixes sitting on the ground and said, "You can ask them. The situation of their phoenix race is the same as your white tiger race." Chapter 2859. The Ning Family? Does your phoenix kind also have a clansman who is going out to train? One of the white tigers asked. Yes, he also left a letter before he left. One of the phoenixes said honestly. After listening for such a long time, he finally realized that something was amiss. After all this fuss, Lung Ruoxue had returned because she suspected that her clansman's training was abnormal. If that was the case, why didn't he say it clearly at the beginning? Why did he have to capture all of them and take them away? Sob. The phoenixes were so sad. It looks like our two races are thinking the same thing. The white tiger said dumbly, "Want to be together, your sister." The phoenix who replied was not as stupid as the white tiger. Immediately, he turned to look at Lung Ruoxue and said, "Something must have happened to the phoenix kind. At least you're not too stupid." Lung Ruoxue looked at the phoenix with admiration. She then turned to look at the silly white tiger with a headache and said, "Did you hear that? She's more clear-headed than you idiot." Lung Ruoxue's tone was filled with resentment. If there was such a stupid subordinate among her subordinates, she would definitely be angered to death. Fortunately, this white tiger wasn't hers yet. But in the future, thinking about the future, Lung Ruoxue's gaze towards a certain white tiger became sharp again. As for the white tiger that was being glared at, it looked at Lung Ruoxue with an aggrieved expression, as if it was a little wife that had been bullied. Lung Ruoxue could only sigh. After taking a few deep breaths, she suppressed her anger and said, "Now that your clansmen are all in trouble, leaving only a few of you behind, what do you think? Tell me." "We don't know." The few white tigers were on the verge of a mental breakdown after hearing this bad news. They were at a loss for what to do and looked at Lung Ruoxue with teary eyes. Their clear blue eyes were red, as though they were saying, "Please protect me." "Miss Lung, you can make the decision," the Phoenix clan replied. "Well, listen to you." AI. He definitely had to listen. A beast under the eaves had no choice but to lower its head. "I can't be bothered with your business." The moment the Phoenix finished speaking, Lung Ruoxue's face was filled with disdain. Ugh, not care, no matter why they were captured. He thought that since the other party had captured them, he would naturally help them. But now, sob, how could these people not care? How could he leave her in the lurch? It had to be said that at this moment, whether it was the Phoenix or the White Tiger, both of them felt fear towards the disappearance of their clansmen. In fact, at this moment, they could not help but place their hopes on their original enemy, Lung Ruoxue. However, now that she had said that she would not care, their burning anticipation was instantly crushed into an ice cave. Don't ignore it, dear. If you don't do anything, they might be captured by the bad guys. Woo-woo. Whoever dared to capture Phoenix and White Tiger must have extraordinary strength. Thinking of this, they couldn't help turning their eyes to Master Ning. They guessed that the person who dared to capture the Phoenix and the White Tiger was probably from the 8 great divine regions. It had to be said that the two sides were thinking the same thing. The reason why they did not suspect Lung Ruoxue was because they felt that with Lung Ruoxue's abilities, she would not have to go through so much trouble to capture a White Tiger or Phoenix. Thanks, he secretly caught someone and left a message. How much effort did he have to put into this? Lung Ruoxue would definitely not bother to do such a sneaky thing. More importantly, even if the other party had done it, they would not have forged a message. It was really unnecessary. Without any suspicion, the White Tiger and Phoenix who were present ruled out Lung Ruoxue as a suspect. This was something that Lung Ruoxue had never thought of. She even felt that it would be normal for the other party to suspect her. After all, they did not get along well. Master Ning, who had been targeted by them, was a little angry. "Why are you all looking at me? I didn't do that." Master Ning roared in anger. We didn't say that you did it. We just feel that in the entire firmament, only the people from the 8 great divine domains, aside from Demon City, are capable of snatching away the Phoenix and the White Tiger without anyone knowing. A certain Phoenix explained in fear. Master Ning was speechless. It seemed like that was the case. Uncle Long and the others couldn't help but laugh. It seemed that they had the same idea. After clearing her throat, Lung Ruoxue spoke again. "I can guarantee that this matter has nothing to do with Godfather. As for who you suspect, just go and find the person involved. I hope that I'll have the opportunity to see all of you alive in the divine realm in the future." With that, Lung Ruoxue stood up and prepared to leave. As soon as she stood up, Uncle Long and the others naturally followed suit. The Phoenixes and White Tigers were dumbfounded. Whoa, he really didn't care? No, they definitely could not allow Lung Ruoxue and the others to leave just like that. If they left, there would be even fewer people who could help them. Actions speak louder than words. In the next second, a few White Tigers and Phoenixes pounced towards Lung Ruoxue in unison. They knelt on the ground and hugged Lung Ruoxue and the rest's legs tightly as they cried, "Woo, you can't just leave like this. If you guys leave, what are we going to do? What do you have to do with us? Don't forget, we are also enemies." Lung Ruoxue's face darkened before she spoke in a tone that left no room for discussion. "Yup. We don't have the obligation to help you, and you're not even related to us." Uncle Long agreed. He couldn't help but laugh in his heart. Shueyer's tactic of playing hard to get was good. In this case, wouldn't these Phoenixes and White Tigers be easy to capture? Then well become your beasts. Is that okay? One of the Phoenixes asked carefully. Don't say that he didn't have a backbone. When things came to a head, he might even lose his life. Could a backbone be eaten? Staying alive was the most important thing. Hearing that a certain Phoenix had the intention to defect, Lung Ruoxue smiled faintly and said, "I'm sorry, but the thing I don't need the most right now is a beast. However, I do lack some servants. Are you willing to do that?" "I'm willing. I'm willing." The phoenix who spoke did not dare to make a decision on behalf of the others. However, to him, it did not matter whether he was a beastie or a servant, as long as he could keep his little life. He did not wish to be like his clan members and disappear without a trace. More importantly, everyone in the immortal realm knew that Lung Ruoxue treated beasts well. Hence, being her servant was better than letting others take advantage of her, right? It had to be said that this phoenix had thought it through quite thoroughly and was very tactful. It was also very sincere and did not reveal the slightest bit of reluctance. Seeing his expression, Lung Ruoxue smiled faintly. "Since you've decided, I'll give you a chance." "Thank you, Master, for taking me in," a certain phoenix said in a fawning manner when she saw that her wish had been fulfilled. "Master, I'm willing to. Master, please take me in." When the other phoenixes and white tigers saw this, they didn't care about their face anymore and fought to be the first to speak. Chapter 2860. The Ning Family? 3. Seeing this grand scene, Master Ning and the others couldn't help but twitch their lips. This was too. That? Don't you have any shame? However, Lung Ruoxue was satisfied that they had walked right into her trap. This was a result of playing hard to get. Hence, she did not reject them. After explaining to the other party that she wanted to use the beast-taming technique, Lung Ruoxue then signed the equality contract with them. The white tigers and phoenixes were extremely touched. He had thought that his master would sign a master-servant contract with him, but he didn't expect it to be an equal contract. Sob, where else could he find such a kind master? At this moment, the beasties' hearts were completely subdued by Lung Ruoxue. Initially, Lung Ruoxue was hesitating whether she should sign a master-servant contract before the contract was formed. After all, to ordinary beast tamers, it was necessary to sign a master-servant contract for tame beasts. Only then would the loyalty of the beasts be high. However, she did not have such concerns at all. More importantly, she had always been tolerant of her beasts. There were very few beasts in her family who had signed a master-servant contract, and the few beasts in front of her had never offended her. Therefore, she really could not bear to use the master-servant contract to control their freedom. After much consideration, Lung Ruoxue finally decided to sign an equality contract. However, she did not expect that a contract of equals would be able to completely subdue the hearts of these beasts. This could be considered an unexpected surprise. After becoming Lung Ruoxue, the white tigers and the phoenix felt much more at ease. Then, out of curiosity, one of the white tigers could not help but ask, "Master, have you been to the dragon clan? What's the situation there?" "I've been there. Their entire clan doesn't have any dragons," Lung Ruoxue said calmly. These words instantly scared the phoenixes and white tigers so much that their faces turned pale. At the same time, they were secretly rejoicing in their hearts. It was a good thing that they had acknowledged Lung Ruoxue as their master. Otherwise, they might be the next ones to be captured. "Master, what should we do now?" a phoenix asked after a long time. "Investigate the suspicious people and find us a secret place. We will be staying there temporarily. As for you, you will be live targets for now. If the other party wants to make a move, you'll be the first choice." Lung Ruoxue made the arrangements. Although they knew that their master's arrangement was very reasonable, as long as they thought that they would be living targets for the enemy, the white tigers and phoenixes could not be happy. However, this was something that couldn't be helped. The other party was going to make a move against the phoenix and white tiger race. It was clearly unrealistic to make them the target. In order to ensure their safety, Lung Ruoxue had even specially instructed Old Venomous Snake to place a few of his sons and grandsons by their side for protection. This way, their safety would naturally be greatly increased. After that, Lung Ruoxue and the rest settled down in a mountain stream within the white tiger race. During this period of time, Lung Ruoxue had heard from Uncle Long and the others that there was new blood in Demon City. However, these new blood were either in closed-door cultivation or out for training. Hence, in the huge Demon City, they were the only idle people. But fortunately, With the Golden Bee clan, old venomous snake, and his children and descendants around, they finally had some people to run errands for them. Other than the venomous snakes that followed the white tiger and phoenix, the rest of the snake's offsprings were sent out by the old venomous snake. The Golden Bee clan also scattered to cooperate with the venomous snakes to investigate the situation and monitor suspicious people in the 8 great divine regions. Time passed. Soon, 2 months had passed. There was no trace of the enemy, but Bao Bao, who had been sleeping for a long time, finally woke up. The moment baby Su opened his eyes, he saw Lung Ruoxue and immediately threw himself into her arms. He said passionately, "Sister, I missed you so much." "Sister also misses the baby," Lung Ruoxue said dotingly. "Sister, baby doesn't want to be away from you for so long," the baby said in a spoiled manner. "Silly girl, baby has never left big sister. Baby's temporary departure is all for cultivation." Lung Ruoxue reminded. "Yes, I don't need to cultivate anymore. Sister, how's my new image? Is she pretty?" In order to let Lung Ruoxue see his current appearance, baby jumped out of Lung Ruoxue's arms reluctantly and posed a few times for his beloved sister to see. Initially, it had wanted to show off, but who knew that it would accidentally trip over its long, furry tail. With a loud plop, it fell on its back. This made Lung Ruoxue laugh out loud. Seeing that she had pleased her sister, baby Su was happy in her heart. However, she couldn't help but put on an aggrieved expression. Her eyes were filled with tears as she looked pitifully at Lung Ruoxue, who was smiling so widely that she had lost her image. "Sister," the baby sobbed. When Lung Ruoxue saw this, she immediately pulled the baby into her arms to comfort him. However, she could not hide the smile on her face. "Big sister, you're smiling so happily." Bao Bao could only laugh at herself. "Bao Bao has done a great job." "Yes." Lung Ruoxue smiled and nodded. Thanks. Just as Lung Ruoxue was about to praise baby Su, a small golden bee flew over and stopped beside the two of them. When the golden bee saw that its baby was awake, it hurriedly saluted, "Greetings, greetings, Lord Beast Deity." "Yes, what's the matter?" The baby's previous tsundere attitude was replaced by a stern expression. "Your Excellency, Miss Lung, the king asked me to inform you that there are enemies." The little golden bee replied in a trembling voice. "What enemy information?" The baby, who had just woken up, had a confused expression on his fluffy and cute little face. "Have you found the person who captured the 3 beasts?" Lung Ruoxue asked. "Not yet. I caught a man in black. That person was sneakily loitering around the white tiger race's territory, and we discovered him," the golden bee reported. Lung Ruoxue was speechless. This couldn't be considered as an enemy's relationship, right? What if they were just passing by? However, she would rather catch the wrong person than let him go. So, after hearing the golden bee's report, she carried the baby to the living room because the person was being interrogated by Uncle Long and the others. On the way, Lung Ruoxue also explained to baby Su. After finding out that the dragon race, phoenix race, and white tiger race had all gone missing, Bao Bao was completely enraged. "You bastard! It had not dealt with those guys yet. How could they let others capture them? Wasn't this clearly snatching people from the hands of the beast god? Such an evil act must not be tolerated." The baby, who was being carried by Lung Ruoxue, followed her into the living room in a valiant and spirited manner. Seeing that the baby had woken up, everyone was very happy because this meant that their strength had increased a lot. However, the few people sitting here still used up most of their mental strength on the baby just to add a few words of criticism to the fog ripple, while the baby felt warm and accepted everyone's criticism with an open mind. After that, everyone turned their attention to the man in black who was kneeling on the ground. Seeing that the other party was dressed in black in broad daylight, Lung Ruoxue was speechless. This person didn't look like someone who was good at this, but that didn't mean that he wasn't suspicious at all. Moreover, no matter how she looked at him, she felt that the person in front of her looked familiar, but she could not remember where she had seen him before. More importantly, when the person in front of her saw her, his eyes were obviously avoiding her, as if he did not expect to see her here. "You recognize me?" Lung Ruoxue squinted her eyes as she sat down. Young Lady Lung is very famous in the divine realm. I'm afraid there aren't many people who don't recognize her, right? The man in black replied carefully after he calmed down. You think I'm asking you that? Lung Ruoxue glanced at the black-robed man. Forgive me for being slow-witted, but I don't understand what Miss Lung is saying. The man in black pretended to be stupid. You don't understand? You're a member of the Ning family? Lung Ruoxue suddenly asked. Even though there was a hint of doubt in her words, her expression was very certain. No, I'm not. The black-robed man denied frantically. When Uncle Long and the others heard Shui say that the other party was from the Ning family, they were all shocked, especially Master Ning, whose eyes were about to pop out. Then Master Ning rushed to the man in black, grabbed him by the collar, and asked, "You're from the Ning family? What's your name? Which room is she from?" "I am not a member of the Ning family." The man in black was so frightened by Master Ning's sudden action that his face turned as pale as a sheet. However, he still denied Lung Ruoxue's words. Seeing that the other party refused to admit it, Master Ning turned to Lung Ruoxue and said, "Shui, I don't think he's from the Ning family. The Ning family wouldn't act like this when they see me." Godfather, Qing Ju has read his heart. With a faint smile, Lung Ruo told him the truth. This time, Master Ning didn't say anything and turned his head to glare at the man in black in front of him. However, the black-robed man clearly did not understand the meaning behind Lung Ruoxue's words. He stubbornly stuck his neck out and continued to argue, "I'm not a member of the Ning family." "Miss Lung, please don't give me an identity. What, do you think that your identity as a member of the Ning family has embarrassed you? Or do you think you're not qualified to be called a member of the Ning family?" Hearing this, Lung Ruoxue continued to ask with a smile, "None of them. I'm not a member of the Ning family anyway." The man in black roared at the top of his lungs as Lung Ruoxue pressed on. At this moment, he had already thrown all his fear to the back of his mind. The only thing he wanted to do was to deny it. He didn't believe that as long as he refused to admit it, the other party would still be able to pin the Ning family's identity on him. Lung Ruoxue was not bothered by his stubbornness. She smiled and said, "What? You think you've embarrassed the Ning family? If you knew this would happen, why did you do that?" 1. Chapter 2861. Are you threatening me? 1. Miss Lung, don't talk nonsense. I'm not a member of the Ning family. How could I embarrass the Ning family? Lung Ruoxue had already put it that way, but the man in black still refused to admit it. Seeing this, Lung Ruoxue smiled faintly and walked to the side of the man in black. "It seems that you really don't like your identity as a member of the Ning family. Otherwise, you wouldn't have refused to admit it. Forget it. Since you don't want to acknowledge it, I can't force you to acknowledge it, so as not to really lose Godfather's face." Lung Ruoxue's words angered the man in black so much that his entire body trembled. He was unable to form a complete sentence even after a long time. At this moment, Lung Ruoxue couldn't be bothered with him anymore. She turned her gaze to her godfather and said, "Godfather, they are the third elder's men." Master Ning immediately understood. Then, he looked deeply at Lung Ruoxue and sighed in his heart. He knew that the Ning family's matters could not be hidden from this girl. But this was good too. At least Shui understood him. Then, Master Ning's sharp eyes turned to the man in black, and he asked indifferently, "Did third brother ask someone to do this? What is it? I don't understand." Seeing that he couldn't hide it anymore, the black-clothed man didn't quibble that he wasn't a member of the Ning family, but he still didn't know. "Godfather, there's no need to ask him. He's just a small fry and doesn't know much." Seeing that the black-robed man was still trying to hide the truth, Lung Ruoxue did not want to give him any more chances. "All right, they'll go find third brother." Hearing this, Master Ning stood up and walked out angrily. Uncle Long and the others looked at each other. Then they got up and followed him. Seeing that everyone had left, the black shirt man thought that he was free. Just as he was about to cheer, he suddenly realized that there were a few more golden little bees around him. What are you guys doing?" The man in black shivered. The gazes of these little golden bees were much fiercer than before. What were they trying to do? What do you want? Hee hee. Kid, without the order of our boss sister, you can forget about escaping. You're under our watch now, so don't ever doubt our intelligence. Brothers, go. Take it down. A golden bee grinned evilly and said to its brother. When the other golden bees heard this, they immediately buzzed with joy. Then, they quickly enlarged their bodies and charged toward the man in black. After a few bees hit each other, the man in black fainted. Then the bees grabbed the man's legs and dragged him out. At the same time, the aggressive Master Ning also rushed to the area of influence assigned to the third elder. Lung Ruoxue and the rest followed him all the way, but they could not keep up with their godfather's footsteps. They were completely shaken off by the exasperated Master Ning. Of course, Master Ning didn't mean to shake them off, but no one expected him to walk so fast. When they didn't pay attention, he had already disappeared, and they didn't know where the third elder's territory was, so they could only go to the Ning family to find the second elder first. The second elder of the Ning family knew why they were here. He immediately brought Lung Ruoxue and the rest to the territory of the third elder. The second elder was about to leave when he arrived at the third elder's territory, but when the guard saw him, he said, "Second elder, long time no see. Third elder is waiting for you." When the second elder heard this, his face was full of doubt. Third brother was waiting for him? Was this a joke? Thanks, ever since third brother had been chased out of the family by the old ancestor, he had not been in contact with them at all. How could he wait for him? However, the second elder of the Imperial Guard recognized the person who had spoken. Hence, he did not doubt the other party's words and stayed behind with Lung Ruoxue. After that, they were respectfully invited into the city. The guard brought Lung Ruoxue and the rest to a tall, grand courtyard that was exactly the same as the Ning family's main residence. He then turned and left. Looking at the tall and magnificent courtyard, Lung Ruoxue turned to second elder and teased, "Second elder, it also says the Ning family's main residence. Which one is the real one?" "Of course it's real." The second elder of the Ning family frowned. "Are you sure? Do you know what kind of feeling this place gives me?" Lung Ruoxue asked indifferently. "Of course I'm sure. We're the master of the Ning family, so please don't think too much, Miss Lung." The second elder of the Ning family said. But in fact, he was also a little uneasy. He didn't know what his third brother was up to. He had already been expelled from the Ning family, so how could he still use the name of the Ning family's main residence? Wasn't he trying to make them look bad? More importantly, how was this the Ning family's main residence? The second elder was a little unhappy, but he didn't show it. After that, they were all invited into the living room by the servants. Sitting in the living room, Lung Ruoxue's beautiful face maintained a faint smile, while second elder's uneasiness grew heavier and heavier, because along the way, he had discovered that every blade of grass, every tree, and all the decorations were basically no different from the real Ning family's main residence. What was she trying to do? Suppressing his anger, the third elder finally arrived. Before the second elder could flare up, the third elder laughed and said, "Second brother, long time no see. Don't call me second brother. I'm not worthy of that title." Hearing this, the second elder said in a bad mood, "All right then. Second elder, how have you been?" The third elder tactfully changed his words. Then, without waiting for the second elder's reply, he turned his gaze to Lung Ruoxue. Looking at Lung Ruoxue, his heart was filled with hatred. If it wasn't for this woman, he wouldn't have ended up like this. "Third elder, how have you been?" Lung Ruoxue saw that the other party was glaring at her with hatred, but did not say a word, so she could only take the initiative to speak. "Thanks to Miss Lung, my life is still going on," the third elder said indifferently, and then asked, "May I know why Miss Lung has come here? Where's Godfather?" Lung Ruoxue didn't answer directly and continued to ask, "If the Godfather that Miss Lung is talking about is Master Ning, I don't see him." The third elder said in a light tone, "You didn't see it?" Lung Ruoxue squinted her beautiful eyes as she muttered to herself, "This is impossible. The old ancestor clearly came to your place." At this time, The second elder also had a look of disbelief. Second elder, did you see Master Ning come to my place with your own eyes? Hearing this, third elder also asked. Ugh! The second elder was at a loss for words. Of course, he did not see it with his own eyes. He had heard it from Lung Ruoxue. Furthermore, there was no need for Lung Ruoxue to lie to him about such matters. Second elder turned to look at Lung Ruoxue with suspicion. Then, he heard Lung Ruoxue say, Third elder, if you're sensible, hand over your godfather. He's your biological father after all. How could you harm him? What? Lung Ruoxue's shocking words scared the second elder so much that he jumped up in shock. He looked at Lung Ruoxue in disbelief before turning to look at the third elder. With a face full of disappointment, he shouted, Third brother, you harmed our ancestor? You animal! I'm going to kill you to avenge our ancestor. Chapter 2862. Are you threatening me? 2. After the second elder finished shouting, he immediately pounced towards the third elder. When the third elder saw this, he did not panic and said, Second elder, can't you grow some brains? Don't be incited by this woman. What reason do I have to harm Master Ning? To think that we've been brothers for so many years, yet you easily believed an outsider's words and even began to doubt me. When the third elder said this, his face was full of disappointment. When the second elder heard him say this, he was at a loss and didn't know who to believe. Not long after, the second elder took a few deep breaths and said, Miss Lung would not lie to me because of such a matter. Do you think I would lie to you about something like this? The third elder asked angrily. We'll talk about lying later. Hand over your godfather first. Lung Ruoxue didn't want to see third elder continue to play the family card, so she went straight to the point. When the second elder heard Lung Ruoxue's words, he immediately reacted, That's right. Quickly hand over the ancestor. Otherwise, I won't let you off. I told you Master Ning didn't come. Why didn't you believe me? The third elder said helplessly, It doesn't seem like you have the final say. Since you claim that Godfather isn't here, do you dare to let us search? Lung Ruoxue asked with a smile. Sure, but what if you don't find anything? The third elder asked. If you didn't find it, doesn't that prove your innocence? What else do you want to do? Lung Ruoxue asked with a faint smile. The third elder was angered by his words. After taking a few deep breaths, he suddenly roared, If you can't find it, then you can all stay here. Are you staying for dinner? There's no need to be so polite. Lung Ruoxue played dumb. You must be dreaming. They'll leave you behind to be dealt with properly. The third elder roared. So, you want to punish us? Oh, all right. Let's see if you have the ability then. When Lung Ruoxue heard this, she was neither angry nor annoyed. Instead, she agreed. I'm looking forward to it, Uncle Long interrupted. Seeing the two of them echoing each other, the third elder was furious. He thought to himself, You'll see what happens later. After that, he suppressed his anger and gestured for Lung Ruoxue and the others to do as they pleased. Before the official search, Lung Ruoxue had secretly given them a few pills. Even though everyone was puzzled, they still took them when they were not prepared. After that, everyone dispersed and split up. Lung Ruoxue carried the baby and headed south. Third elder could not help but sneer as he watched Lung Ruoxue leave. Then he sat back in his original position and leisurely drank his tea. Big sister, there are so many strangers' auras here. Along the way, Bao Bao whispered to Lung Ruoxue through telepathy. Yes, let's find Godfather first. Don't worry about the rest. Lung Ruoxue replied and quickened her pace. They arrived at a small courtyard that had been abandoned for a long time. Lung Ruoxue pushed open the door and walked in. Thanks. After entering, Lung Ruoxue lifted her beautiful eyes and searched carefully. From the outside, this small courtyard seemed to have been abandoned for a long time. However, the courtyard was unusually clean. There wasn't even a single weed. The courtyard was filled with bright red flowers, competing for beauty. Although the flowers were beautiful, they gave her a rather out-of-place feeling. Lung Ruoxue walked over to the flowers and observed them carefully. She stretched out her snow-white hand, wanting to pick one and look at it as much as she wanted to. However, the moment her hand reached out, the flowers moved. She saw many tentacles extending out of the center of the flower, rushing toward her. Seeing this, Lung Ruoxue hurriedly retracted her hand. When the flowers saw that the delectable taste was gone, they seemed to be quite dissatisfied and started to shake violently. They even let out baby-like cries. What the hell was this flower? Seeing this, Lung Ruoxue really wanted to burn all these strange flowers. However, before she could do that, she heard light footsteps behind her. Lung Ruoxue turned around vigilantly and saw Third Elder leading a group of menacing men in black and had her surrounded. Third Elder, what are you trying to do? Blinking her eyes, Lung Ruoxue revealed a calm smile and pretended to be confused. I want to use you as fertilizer for my flowers. The Third Elder smiled evilly and spoke the truth. So that's how it is. However, my flower fertilizer is poisonous. Are you sure you want to do this? Lung Ruoxue remained calm as she asked. Poisonous? Oof. Can you poison the flowers here more than you can? The Third Elder said with confidence. That's true. However, before you use me as fertilizer, can you first answer a few of my questions? Lung Ruoxue asked with a smile on her face, as though she had completely disregarded her own life. What do you want to ask? The Third Elder asked kindly. It was obvious that he had agreed to let Lung Ruoxue be the ghost that understood the situation. Where's Godfather? Lung Ruoxue's first question was the same as before. Haha, of course, that old thing is in my hands. The Third Elder no longer denied it and laughed complacently. Why did you capture Godfather? Although Godfather has expelled you from the family, I know that he has not mistreated you. But you still treat him like this. Are you still human? Lung Ruoxue questioned him angrily. Why? Did he treat me as his son? He's just an old man who's helping an outsider. For an outsider like you, he's actually treating us like this. Is he still worthy of being my father? Yes. You're right. He did not mistreat us in some ways, but he expelled us from the Lung clan, which has already made it impossible for us to establish ourselves in the divine realm. Isn't that mistreating us? After hearing Lung Ruoxue's words, Third Elder retorted with burning jealousy. You really think he did it for me? Lung Ruoxue could not help but ask. If it wasn't for you, then was it for me? The Third Elder asked in a self-mocking manner. Of course it's not for you, but it's definitely not just for me. Godfather was doing it for the Ning family. He hoped that the Ning family would be united, but you? What did you do this time? Lung Ruoxue retorted. What did I do? I want the Ning family to draw a clear line with you. Isn't that for the good of the Ning family? The Third Elder didn't think he had done anything wrong. Whether it's for the good of the Ning family or for your own selfish reasons, you know best. I'm too lazy to argue with you about this, but what I want to say is that Godfather definitely had foresight to drive you out of the Ning family. Otherwise, having a traitor like you in the Ning family would definitely be a fatal blow to the Ning family. Lung Ruoxue sneered. Haha, well said. However, it's too late for you to say anything now. There's no way I'll let you leave today. After hearing Lung Ruoxue's words, the Third Elder laughed instead of getting angry. Don't worry, I don't plan on leaving just like that. In addition, I also want to know, what benefits did that bitch Wu Yin promise you to make you work so hard for her? Lung Ruoxue continued to ask. Chapter 2863. Are you threatening me? 3. You know that too? It seems that I've really underestimated you. However, since you want to know, I'll tell you. God Lord Rhyme has promised me a Ning family. The Third Elder said smugly. What do you mean? Lung Ruoxue asked in confusion. From now on, I'm the master of the Ning family. The Third Elder said with a smile. What about the current Ning family? Lung Ruoxue asked again. Of course it doesn't exist. In the future, the divine realm will only have my Ning family. Third Elder had made it very clear. Lung Ruoxue nodded her head and said, So you're saying that you're planning to destroy the current Ning family? Not bad. The Third Elder didn't deny that he had such thoughts. Do you think you have that ability? Lung Roashua sized up third elder carefully, but she couldn't figure out where this fellow got his confidence from. Ha ha! God Lord Fogripple will naturally help me. Besides, isn't Master Ning already in my hands? The next one is that idiot second elder. The third elder laughed wildly. Third brother, you animal, how can you treat the Ning family like this? Before the third elder could finish laughing, the second elder's angry voice was heard. The furious second elder didn't care about Uncle Long's attempts to stop him. He jumped to the center of the arena and began to curse at the third elder. What's wrong with me treating the Ning family like this? And how did the Ning family treat me? Although the third elder was a little surprised to see the second elder, who should not have appeared here, he still replied in a self-righteous manner. How did the Ning family treat you? Other than banishing you, did the Ning family give you less territory or property? But you, what did you do this time? You colluded with the Ripple Mist bitch to harm our ancestor. Are you even human? Bah, if I had known you were like this, I would have let my ancestor strangle you to death when you were young. You animal. The second elder cursed. However, the third elder didn't take his words seriously and said fiercely, Yes, you gave me a lot of territory and wealth, but you made me unable to establish myself in the divine realm and made my clansmen become ants that everyone in the divine realm loathed and could step on. Do you think I want to hate you? Your Ning family has always been high and mighty, but have you ever thought about the feelings of us expelled people? If you didn't make any mistakes, would you have been expelled by the old ancestor? Although the second elder knew that the third elder and the others wouldn't have a good time, he never thought that someone would dare to bully the third elder. After all, the third elder was a reverent god, so he couldn't possibly be bullied by a few pieces of trash, right? However, the third elder's words implied that their lives were rather miserable. But who could he blame? It would have been better if the second elder hadn't said that. What he said completely infuriated the third elder. Immediately, the third elder roared, I made a mistake? I just want the Ning family to draw a clear line between themselves and Lung Ruoxue, this troublemaker. Is that wrong? Am I not doing this for the good of the Ning family? The second elder didn't know how to refute the third elder's words. After all, there were many clansmen in the family who had such thoughts at that time. Even he had almost wavered at one point. Fortunately, he followed the orders of the ancestor. Therefore, as long as it was the ancestor's decision, he would fully support it, whether it was right or wrong. However, third brother was different. This fellow had been rebellious since he was young. This time, he had even offended the old ancestor because of Lung Ruoxue's matter, which resulted in him being expelled. Hence, he more or less sympathized with third brother's situation. However, he could not say that third brother's actions were right just because he sympathized with him, right? No matter what reason you have, you shouldn't have threatened the ancestor. As he thought of this, the tiny bit of sympathy he had for the third elder disappeared without a trace. People, when one did something wrong, they would always find thousands of reasons for themselves. They would not find a reason from themselves. They would even try to blame the mistake on others to prove that their choice was right. But was this useful? The crowd's eyes were sharp. It was not as if they did not have the ability to judge right from wrong. Hence, he really could not understand why third brother would want to go against Lung Ruoxue so wholeheartedly. Was it just because of the little grudge between them? One had to know that he and Lung Ruoxue had some personal grudges in the past. But now, both of them had let go of their grudges with a smile and were getting along quite well. Why couldn't third elder learn from him? Thinking of this, the second elder wanted to persuade the third elder to turn back from the wrong path. But just as he started, he was stopped by Lung Ruoxue. Second elder, don't waste your breath. Third elder has already joined Raimai's sect. Lung Ruoxue said calmly. What? The second elder was shocked. When did this happen? Didn't it happen after third brother was expelled from the Lung family? Old man, you're such a fool. You still want to persuade him. He's long been Rhyme's dog. It's just that you don't know about it. Seeing the second elder's shocked expression, Bao Bao told him the truth. With its mind-reading ability, it had no problem reading the reverent god's mind. Therefore, the third elder's thoughts could not be hidden in front of it. How is this possible? The second elder was still in disbelief. This fact was far beyond his expectations. How could he accept this? Thanks, what's impossible? Didn't he go to the secret realm alone last time? Lung Ruoxue smiled. Don't tell me that time. The second elder stopped halfway through his sentence. Third elder, you were caught that time, right? Lung Ruoxue asked despite knowing the answer. So what if I am? Are you going to say that I've submitted to God Lord Fogripple just because I was captured? The third elder retorted. That's right. If you hadn't sided with that witch, she would never have let you go. Besides, you've already admitted that you were her man. So why don't you admit that you sided with her back then? A man's mind is so hard to understand. Lung Ruoxue sighed, while baby Sue could not help but cover her mouth and laugh. After he was done laughing, Bao Bao said, Sister, it's obvious. If he had turned to the old bitch, Ramice at that time, he would have been the center of the Ning family. For tens of thousands of years, the Ning family had been free, but he had found a master for the Ning family. It would be strange if the old man of the Ning family let him off. If old man Ning had known all of this at the time, he wouldn't have expelled him at all. I'm afraid he would have been killed long ago. That's true. Baby, why is this person still not satisfied when he has clearly gained an advantage? He always felt that it was the Ning family and godfather who mistreated him. How could he have the face to think that way? Lung Ruoxue was still echoing baby Su's words and asked in confusion. Some human. He was just this shameless. Sister, let's ignore him and just cut it off. The baby suggested after he was done laughing. When the third elder heard this, he immediately sneered and said, Cut me off. In your dreams. None of you will leave here alive today. Then what do you want? You want to keep all of us here with just a few men in black? Lung Ruoxue blinked her beautiful eyes and asked innocently, You'll know when the time comes. The third elder laughed. Then he whistled toward the sky and looked at Lung Ruoxue proudly. Lung Ruoxue, prepare to die. All right, he said. Lung Ruoxue nodded in agreement. I'm sorry to disturb you. Where should I throw this trash? At this moment, an embarrassed voice was heard. The third elder turned around subconsciously and saw two handsome men standing not far behind him. At their feet, there was a pile of men in black, their fates unknown. And these, Uncle Long and the others also came over and threw a pile of garbage over. Looking at the man in black who had been thrown to the ground, the third elder was furious, while the other men in black who had survived were trembling. Whoa, these people were so powerful. They didn't even notice the other party's silent arrival. What should they do? The men in black looked at third elder helplessly. The third elder, who had high hopes placed on him, could only be filled with anger and disbelief. You? Why are you here? Shouldn't you? The third elder could not finish his sentence. The truth was that their plan to lure the enemy had failed. The other party was unscathed, while countless people on his side had died. This fact made third elder even angrier. I'm sorry to have interrupted your plan. Oh, your plan is perfect, but it's a pity that you've met us. Ice Spirit said guiltily. Yep, we really didn't want to ruin your plan, but these men in black can't take a beating. So, we can only appear in front of you alive and well. You must be disappointed, right? Uncle Long agreed. Disappointment. He was far more than disappointed. The third elder's lungs were about to explode from anger. These guys are really too detestable. He knew that the other party was not easy to deal with, so he did not rush to make a move from the beginning. He wanted to lead them to a place with a trap before making his move, but who knew that he would still fail? A sense of defeat welled up in third elder's heart, but he was not willing to be defeated just like that. He turned around and shouted at Lung Ruoxue with a burning rage. Lung Ruoxue, take your men and leave this place immediately. Otherwise, you will see Master Ning's corpse. Bastard, quickly release our ancestor. Hearing this, before Lung Ruoxue could even react, second elder could not control himself and jumped up in anger. Hee, if you want me to release her, we'll have to see Lung Ruoxue's performance. Hearing the second elder's words, the third elder suddenly felt that he had found the other party's weak spot. So he said with a proud smile, Are you threatening me? Lung Ruoxue asked calmly. Chapter 2864. Don't be sad, I'm no match for you, one. That's right, I'm threatening you. The third elder laughed smugly, as if saying, I'm threatening you, what can you do to me? You think your threat will work on me? Lung Ruoxue asked calmly when she saw how proud the other party was. Of course, unless you don't want to save that old man anymore. Third elder felt that he had grasped Lung Ruoxue's weak spot and continued to threaten her. Lung Ruoxue, I've changed my mind. You don't need to bring them away now. I want you to stay here and use you to exchange for that damn old man. How about it? What if I refuse? Lung Ruoxue glanced at third elder and asked. Then you'll immediately see that damn old man's corpse. The third elder said viciously. You animal. Woo-woo. Hearing this, the second elder cursed angrily. However, just as he cursed, Uncle Long covered his mouth. He was so angry that he could only glare at Uncle Long. However, Uncle Long didn't care about the glare. He just didn't want this idiot to ruin Shui Heir's plans. Lung Ruoxue, you won't reject me, right? The old man loves you so much. At this moment, third elder saw that Lung Ruoxue had not replied and could not help but continue to provoke her. Yes, you're right. I'm going to reject it. Lung Ruoxue laughed coldly. Then, as expected, she saw the third elder's dumbfounded expression and the second elder's disbelieving face. Following that, Lung Ruoxue continued. You want to make me stay with just these few men? Aren't you a little too confident? That's right. You dare to threaten us? Do you think you're a rhyme bitch? Let me tell you the truth. Let alone your threats. Even if that bitch Wu Cheng were to threaten us, we wouldn't fall for it. Uncle Long said with a smirk. You don't want to save that old man? Hearing the other party's words, the third elder's face turned black with anger, but he didn't give up. Of course we have to save her, but we don't plan on letting you go. Lung Ruoxue said with a smile. Hee, Shui, why are you still wasting your breath on him? Well, deal with him while you go and save the others. Ice Spirit, who had been watching for too long, couldn't take it anymore. All right, leave this old man alive. Lung Ruoxue warned. Then, before third elder could even react, she angrily kicked him again before leaving. Third elder, who had been kicked to the ground by Lung Ruoxue, could not react in time. By the time he regained his senses, he was already surrounded by Uncle Long and the others. Looking at the crowd surrounding him, third elder felt a chill in his heart. Was he going to just surrender? No, he was unwilling to accept this. He was unwilling to accept this. With a furious roar, the third elder jumped up from the ground and attacked the second elder. Seeing this, the second elder was stunned for a moment. Then, he was pushed aside by Uncle Long, who thought he was in the way. As a result, the third elder missed, and Uncle Long went to meet him. Seeing that his opponent had changed to Uncle Long, the third elder felt bitter in his heart. Fuck, he didn't want to fight this old whale at all. His target was the second elder. After all, he knew that he still had a chance of winning against the second elder. However, if he were to face Uncle Long, he would not even have the chance to escape. The third elder was extremely depressed, but what made him even more depressed was yet to come. Thanks apart from Uncle Long, Bing Pe, Dongfang Yu, and Dongfang Lin, who were unwilling to be left out, looked at each other and also attacked the third elder. The third elder, who was attacked for both sides, was so angry that he almost vomited blood. You bastard. The other party was actually launching a group attack. This was really bullying. The third elder was so angry that he wanted to curse, but the other party didn't give him a chance to do so. He was exhausted from dealing with the situation and was completely flustered. At this moment, Huan Xin saw that there was no place for him to fight, so he wanted to drag third elder to deal with the black-clothed men's minions. Who knew that when he turned his head, he would find that the black-clothed men had all been knocked to the ground by the poisonous snakes, foaming at the mouth and twitching all over. The old viper looked at Huan Shan with an embarrassed expression and grinned. I'm sorry, I didn't leave any for you guys. Hearing this, Huan Chen's mouth twitched. This was already considered cheap, yet he was still acting innocent? Forget it. If he didn't leave any, then so be it. However, what should he do with these men in black? Before Huan Chun could think of a solution, he saw the venomous snakes under Old Snake's Eye signal. Each used their tails to carry a few men in black. They slowly walked to the flowers in the yard, and then uniformly threw the men tied to their tails into the middle of the gorgeous flowers. In an instant, the flowers who smelled the delicious food all went crazy. Countless tentacles reached out from the center of the flower and stabbed into the dead man in black. Seeing the man in black's blood being sucked dry and the corpse turning from plump and lustrous to shriveled, Huan Chen's forehead was filled with black lines. Could he say that these flowers were definitely the best biological weapons to destroy the evidence? And these snakes, they were indeed from different families. If Shui was here, she would probably have the same thoughts as these poisonous snakes. And after doing all this, Old Venomous Snake even looked a little embarrassed, as if he had snatched someone else's job and was too embarrassed to do it. Seeing this, Huan Chen's mouth twitched even more. He already knew that baby SU subordinates were not good people, especially these snakes. But you've done something bad. Can't you be more calm? What's there to be shy about? But at this moment, Old Venomous Snake fearfully said, Lord Huan Chun, Miss Lung won't blame us for disposing of these black-clothed men's corpses without permission, right? A 1T, Huan Chun replied expressionlessly. However, he couldn't help but complain in his heart, because that girl would deal with it the same way you did. It had to be said that Huan Chun understood Lung Ruoxue very well. At this moment, Lung Ruoxue had already entered the only room in the courtyard. Under Qing Ju's guidance, Lung Ruoxue was familiar with the place and found the underground secret room as if she was walking in her own backyard. Lung Ruoxue easily undid the secret underground room's array and walked in. The secret room was pitch black, and the smell was not very fresh. Hence, Lung Ruoxue did not even think and immediately lit up a small flame. It instantly lit up the entire secret chamber, and at the same time, she could see everything inside clearly. At the very top of this secret room, there was a blood pool. In the middle of the pool, there was a huge blood cherry flower in full bloom. Not far from the blood pool, there were rows of prison cells. In the first cell, Lung Ruoxue had already noticed her godfather's figure. At this moment, Master Ning was unconscious. A wind blade shot out from Lung Ruoxue's fingertips and broke the lock of the cell. Then, Lung Ruoxue strode into the cell and fed an elixir to her godfather. She then helped him up. Not long after, Master Ning opened his eyes. Seeing the person in front of him, Master Ning couldn't help but be shocked. Shui, you were also caught by that beast? Chapter 2865. Don't be sad. I can't compare to you two. No, Godfather, I'm here to save you. Lung Ruoxue hurriedly replied. Woo, Shui, I thought I would never see you guys again. Seeing that Lung Ruoxue wasn't captured, Master Ning suddenly became weak and hugged Lung Ruoxue, wailing. Seeing this, Lung Ruoxue could only try to coax him. After coaxing her godfather with much difficulty, Lung Ruoxue finally had the chance to check on her godfather's appearance. Other than his clothes being a little wrinkled, he did not have any external injuries. As for his mental state, it was not bad. She was relieved. After that, Lung Ruoxue turned her attention to the other people in the cell. Right now, in the prison cell, other than her own godfather, the only person she was most familiar with could only be the White Tiger race's Grand Elder. However, the appearance of the White Tiger race's Grand Elder was much more haggard than her godfather. Not only was his face pale, his clothes were also stained with blood. Shui, it looks like the three beasts were all captured by that beast. Master Ning's face was filled with hatred as he looked in the direction of Lung Ruoxue's target. Not only did that beast capture the three beasts, it also wanted him. Godfather, we'll discuss this later. You wake them up first. He'll go and kill that blood cherry blossom. As Lung Ruoxue spoke, she handed Master Ning a bottle of pills, then left the cell with her baby. When she returned to the side of the blood pool, Lung Ruoxue threw a ball of fire at it without a second thought. In an instant, the blood cherry blossom in the blood pool was enraged. The blood in the pool churned like boiling lava, with huge bubbles rising from it. The blood cherry blossoms flapped their huge petals and let out sharp shrieks. "Arg! Human, I will not let you off." Blood cherry blossom was furious. It had already pretended to be dead. So why was this woman still not letting it go? Must they kill it? The blood sakura had thought of this, but it could no longer control the anger in its heart. In reality, when it had sensed Lung Ruakshu's aura, it had been so frightened that it had not even dared to breathe. After all, this woman's flames were the absolute nemesis of it. Thus, it was very afraid and had wanted to play dead to avoid this calamity. Who knew that she had no intention of letting it go and still wanted to burn it to death? Fuck! Seeing that it didn't show its might, did it think it was a sick flower? The furious blood cherry blossom knew that Lung Ruashua was not easy to deal with. Hence, it did not hold back from the start. Countless feelers extended out from the center of its pistol, baring its fangs and brandishing its claws as it pounced towards Lung Ruashua. Fuck! It's so disgusting. After dealing with Third Elder, Uncle Long, who had brought his men to support Lung Ruashua, could not help but curse when he saw this scene. The Second Elder, who had never seen a blood cherry blossom before, was so frightened that her face turned pale. She immediately squatted on the ground and vomited in disgust. Seeing this, Uncle Long patted the Second Elder's shoulder sympathetically and said, "Second brother, you can't do it. You're vomiting just like that?" Hearing Uncle Long's words, the Second Elder was extremely depressed. "Woo, can't you not call him second brother? And don't mention that he vomited, okay?" He felt so embarrassed. Why did he vomit? The Second Elder was obviously a little too worried, and the others couldn't help but laugh when they heard Uncle Long's teasing. Suddenly, the Second Elder felt his old face burning as if it was on fire. "Sob, this time I've really lost a lot of face." The Second Elder was both worried and angry. He wanted to find a chance to prove his manly side. Thus, in the heat of the moment, he didn't even think twice before charging toward the blood cherry blossom's feelers. Second brother must have suffered quite a shock. Uncle Long continued to tease the Second Elder. "Yup, he's playing with his life." Ice Spirit was speechless. The Second Elder was already pitiful enough. Why was Uncle Long gloating? However, Uncle Long wasn't the only one who was gloating. Dongfang Lin, Huan Shun, and even the other Vipers all hoped to see the Second Elder's heroic side, so they all began to cheer him on. "Thanks, Second Brother is mighty." Dongfang Lin yelled. Second Brother, all the best. I have high hopes for you." Huan Shun said, not willing to be outdone. Good luck. Good luck. Second Elder, destroy these blood-sucking tubes." Old Venomous Snake led his descendants and cheered in unison. As for Lung Ruashua, who was preparing to fight the blood cherry blossom, when she heard these voices, she was speechless and didn't know what to say. Then, from the corner of her eye, she saw the main character of the voice madly rush into the middle of the tentacles. Instantly, Lung Ruakshu's face darkened. The Second Elder had gone mad. The appraisal was complete. He was basically delivering food to the blood cherry blossom. As expected, the blood cherry blossom welcomed the Second Elder's suicidal rhythm. It spread out several tentacles in order to welcome the other party's embrace. As soon as the Second Elder rushed into the middle of the tentacles, he tragically discovered that he was tightly bound by them. Save me, save me." The Second Elder was a little scared. More importantly, when he looked at the tentacles up close, he felt even more disgusted, especially when he saw the red blood flowing on the transparent walls of the tentacles. He felt that he would never want to eat again in his life. Oh, it was too disgusting. That idiot, Master Ning, who had saved the White Tiger, Great Elder, and the other beasts, couldn't help but curse when he saw this scene when he came out of the cell. "Master Ning, please save him. Otherwise," the weak White Tiger First Elder couldn't help but worry when he saw the Ning family's Second Elder's miserable state. He had suffered the same pain before, so he knew the pain very well. "Don't worry, with Shwe or here he won't die. Master Ning said with some disappointment. Seeing that Master Ning was not worried at all, the great elder of the White Tiger could only keep silent. At the same time, Lung Roashue moved closer to the blood cherry blossom, causing the petals to lean back in fear. They were afraid that the flames on the other party's fingertips would burn them. What are you afraid? If you're afraid, then let second elder go. Lung Roashue threatened. Even if I let him go, you won't let me go. That's why I'm not that stupid. Even if I die, they'll take someone with me. Blood cherry blossom roared angrily. Miss Lung, save me. Listening to the conversation between Lung Roashue and the flower, the second elder said weakly, Sob, can you please save him first? You shut up. Feeling that second elder was a little noisy, Lung Roashue first shouted at him before turning to the blood cherry. If you let him go, they'll let you die a quick death. Otherwise, they'll definitely make you wish you were dead. Little flower, you're a smart flower. You should know how to choose, right? He's going to die anyway, so don't think that he'll let this stupid old man off. After hearing Lung Roashue's words, the blood cherry blossom was still unwilling to relent. It even felt that it would only be safe with this old man in its hands. When Lung Roashue heard the other party's words, she smiled indifferently and said, Little flower, this isn't your style. Didn't you want to fight me to the death just now? Come on, show me your attitude. They'll be waiting for you. Chapter 2866. Don't be sad. I'm no match for you three. Do you think I'm that easy to fool? I wanted to fight you because I didn't have any other targets to use. Now that I have one, who would be so stupid as to want to die? Human, if you want me to let this old man go, you have to let me go. I'm not joking. Blood Cherry Blossom roared viciously. When everyone heard Snow Cherry Blossom's threat, they couldn't help but sigh. Since when did a flower become so intelligent? However, they also knew that this flower wasn't an ordinary flower. In this case, it was normal for this flower to threaten others. Human, think about it. Seeing that Lung Roashue didn't give any response, Shwe Cherry Blossoms considerately asked, There's no need to think about it. It doesn't matter to me whether this old man is alive or not. If you like him, you can take him. So you still have to die. Lung Roashue followed Shui Yinghua's lead. Then, she couldn't help but ask the second elder. Second elder, I definitely won't let go of this flower. So, for the sake of the divine realm's stability, for the sake of exterminating the Ripple Mist bitch as soon as possible, you should sacrifice yourself. When the time comes, we will hold a grand funeral for you and announce your heroic deeds to the entire divine realm. You can rest in peace. The moment Lung Roashue finished speaking, the second elder closed his eyes and fainted. Blood Cherry Blossom was so angry that she was trembling. Fuck! Was the other party really not going to care about this old man? It didn't believe it. In order to verify the truth, the furious Blood Cherry Blossom decided to directly suck the second elder's blood. But at this moment, several blades of divine power flew over from all directions and cut off the Blood Cherry Blossom's feelers. The second elder also fell to the ground with a bang. The second elder, who had fallen to the ground, rolled over and got up, quickly retreating from the range of the Blood Cherry Blossom's tentacles. The second elder, who felt that he had just escaped death, was now covered in cold sweat, and his face was deathly pale. After returning to the safe area, the second elder, who thought he could be comforted, was rewarded with Master Ning's iron fist. The second elder, who was beaten, could only cry, but did not dare to seek justice. Woo! He almost lost his life and was beaten up. Was there anyone in this world who was more miserable than him? However, the second elder, who knew that he was in the wrong, did not dare to say anything. He could only look at his own ancestor with an aggrieved expression. Idiot! He didn't know what was good for him. With your little strength, you still dare to move forward. Don't you see who here isn't stronger than you? The master of the Ning family shouted. The second elder obediently looked around and discovered to his dismay that not counting the white tiger race's grand elder and the other beasts that had just been rescued. The strength of everyone present was truly above his. Even those poisonous snakes were not something he could compare to. That was because they were poisonous, and he did not. Sop, am a reverent god after all. How did I end up in such a situation? He actually became the weakest among all of them? How could he endure this? Just as the second elder was lamenting to himself, Bing Yao, who had been watching the show from behind her father, stuck out her cute little head and consoled. Second elder, right? Don't be sad. My strength can't be compared to yours. So my father only let me watch the show. We can be considered to be in the same boat. Was this comforting? After hearing this, the second elder felt even worse. Sob. This consolation really hurt his self-esteem. He was actually on the same level as the Cheelin cub. How was he going to face others in the future? When the others heard this, they couldn't help but laugh. Seeing this, the second elder only wanted to find a hole to hide in. However, he was not the only one who had a bad feeling. Compared to the second elder, Bloodcherry Blossom's feelings could only be worse. It had never dreamed that the human it had captured would be so shameless as to pretend to be unconscious so that it would let its guard down. But what it hated more was that some humans had actually launched sneak attacks. How detestable, despicable human. At the thought of this, Bloodcherry Blossom could not help but roar at Lung Ruoxue in a vicious and furious manner. Damn human, you deliberately attracted my attention just to let others save you? You're right, so I've decided to give you a reward. Little flower die. As soon as Lung Ruoxue finished speaking, the flames in her hands expanded by several times. Then a ball of fire flew towards the Bloodcherry Blossom, instantly trapping it in a sea of fire. The Bloodcherry Blossom let out a series of agonized curses from within the flames. As the flames burned, the curses grew softer and softer. By the time Lung Ruoxue retracted her flames, the Bloodcherry Blossoms had already turned into ashes. The blood in the pool turned into dust and dissipated into the air. After that, Lung Ruoxue turned around and saw that the white tiger grand elder and the other beasts had all been rescued. She then led the group out of the secret chamber. On the way out of the secret chamber, Lung Ruoxue saw that everyone on her side was present. She asked curiously, "Where's the third elder? Who's watching? Don't let that guy get away." Hearing this, Ice Spirit and the others had strange expressions. No one said anything. As for Old Venomous Snake, he said with an embarrassed look, "No one is watching." Did he knock her out? Lung Ruoxue guessed. Following that, she heard Old Venomous Snake's conflicted expression as he stammered, "All of our snakes bit him, so he's deeply poisoned. He won't wake up for a while." Looking at the countless little snakes in front of her, Lung Ruoxue's face darkened. Every snake bit him once? Ugh, could she say that she was starting to pity Third Elder? When Master Ning heard this, he patted Old Viper's head and said, "Good job. That beast has to be punished like this." Thanks, the old poisonous snake was a little embarrassed by Master Ning's praise. In fact, it really wanted to say that it was not a punishment, but that no one was willing to stay outside to watch that guy, and the snakes were not willing, so they bit him. While they were talking, they had already reached the courtyard. At this moment, the only person still gasping for breath in the courtyard was Third Elder. As for the other black-robed men, Lung Ruoxue could only see their black clothes, but they were all gone. However, Lung Ruoxue understood when she saw the men in black lying among the flowers. Whose idea was this? Lung Ruoxue pointed at the black clothes among the flowers and asked calmly, It's me." Seeing that no one answered, Old Venomous Snake had to admit it. "Not bad, but it's not very clean." As soon as Lung Ruoxue finished speaking, a small flame floated above the flowers. In an instant, the flowers were set ablaze. From the flames, a human-like sobbing sound could be heard. The group of venomous snakes was a little dumbfounded when they saw this. This was much cleaner, but they didn't have fire. After that, the snakes saw that Uncle Long and the others were used to it. They knew that they hadn't done it thoroughly enough. However, Lung Ruoxue's way of doing things had won the hearts of all the snakes. In an instant, Lung Ruoxue was viewed as the absolute idol by all the vipers. Even the great beast deity was ranked behind Lung Ruoxue. After dealing with the men in black, they set Third Elder's main residence on fire. Lung Ruoxue and the rest then carried the unconscious Third Elder and returned to the White Tiger territory. As for the rest of the Ning family, the Second Elder would deal with them. With the experience of escaping from death, Lung Ruoxue and the rest believed that Second Elder would not be soft-hearted towards the Ning family members who had been led astray. When they arrived at the White Tiger race's territory, Lung Ruoxue and the rest immediately returned to the mountain stream where they had stayed previously. The remaining Golden Bee tribe was overjoyed to see them return. "Little Bumblebee, pack up your things. We're preparing to go home." Lung Ruoxue smiled as she spoke to the little thing that was dancing in front of her. When the bees heard this, they danced even more happily before they disappeared in front of Lung Ruoxue and the others. When they reappeared, they had clearly packed up. Then, a human-shaped piece of trash was thrown in front of Lung Ruoxue and the rest. Looking at the man in black, Lung Ruoxue turned to Master Ning and said, "Godfather, I'll leave this person to you." "No need, just cut it off. I don't want to see him again." Master Ning didn't even raise his head and said directly, Don't waste it. Let's test the medicine." The moment Shinua heard that, she hurriedly said, "All right." Master Ning was very generous. As for the unconscious man in black, he had no idea that his fate had been decided. But whether he knew or not, it was obviously not important to everyone. Following that, everyone did not say a word to the White Tiger race and quietly returned to Demon City. The first thing Uncle Long did when he got home was to arrange a territory for the Golden Bee tribe and the poisonous snakes. Fortunately, they did not care about the size of the place, as long as they could get closer to the beast deity. However, the Golden Bee tribe still had a small request, and that was that the place they lived in must have many flowers. Uncle Long heard this and thought, isn't it easy to spend more money? In the end, he decided to give a part of the garden to these little things as their territory. The Golden Bee tribe was naturally very satisfied with the garden. After arranging their living quarters, Uncle Long went to the living room to attend the hearing. The one being interrogated was, of course, the Third Elder, but when Uncle Long arrived at the living room, he realized that the Third Elder was still unconscious. Ugh, what was going on? The interrogation hasn't started yet? After sitting down, Uncle Long looked at Master Ning, who obviously didn't look too good. He tried hard not to ask, but he was very curious in his heart. How far had they gone? After looking at the crowd for a long time, Uncle Long even coughed a few times deliberately to remind everyone of his existence. But I Spirit and the others only looked up at him and said nothing. Uncle Long was even more puzzled. In the end, he fixed his dazed gaze on Lung Ruoxue. Lung Ruoxue sighed and said, "Godfather, how do you plan to deal with this person? He's a sinner of the Ning family. This kind of person can't be kept. Just kill him." After a long time, Master Ning gave his opinion. Hearing this, Uncle Long was even more confused. They decided to kill him just like that. Chapter 2867. You've already been exposed. Stop pretending. 1. At first, Uncle Long thought that although this man had done something wrong, he was still the son of the Ning family's old boy, so he should at least be spared. Who knew that the old man from the Ning family would directly kill him without saying a word? What kind of situation was this? However, no one explained to Uncle Long, which made him anxious. Finally, Uncle Long couldn't take it anymore and shouted, "Can any of you tell me how the interrogation is going?" Towards the end, Uncle Long's voice subconsciously lowered as he faced everyone's surprised gazes. He even felt a little guilty. Sighing, Master Ning looked at Uncle Long again and said, "Not only did this beast seek refuge with Wu Yin, it has also hurt many of our people. Therefore, we can't stay here any longer." Then let's do it." Uncle Long didn't want to get to the bottom of it, so he agreed. "Shwat, help me deal with this beast. Don't let him die too easily." Master Ning stood up and said to Lung Ruoxue after hearing what Uncle Long had to say. He then left the living room alone. Watching her godfather's back view, Lung Ruashua sighed softly. Then, she turned her gaze to Third Elder, who was lying on the ground. With a thought, she moved Third Elder into the bracelet. After that, Lung Ruashua also stood up and left. In the next few days, the Lung family's residence in Demon City was shrouded in a dark cloud. Lung Ruashua and the others did not feel good because of Master Ning's sorrow and loneliness. When the second elder finished dealing with the third elder's problems and rushed to Demon City to report to the second elder, he clearly sensed the dejected atmosphere in Demon City. He was at a loss for what to do. The great ancestor ignored him, and Uncle Long and the others ignored him as well. The only people who talked to him every day were the golden bees and the poisonous snakes. Sobs. How did he end up like this? The second elder was a little worried. The old snake couldn't stand it. He couldn't control others and wouldn't listen to him, but the second elder should be an obedient little guy. After thinking about this, old venomous snake poured all his love into second elder. Every day, he would not only ask for warmth, but also prepare food and bring it to second elder. Unfortunately, second elder would feel nauseated at the sight of food, so he could only disappoint old venomous snake's love. However, the old viper didn't give up and continued to prepare food for the second elder. He was completely treating him as his own grandson. The final result was that the second elder hid far away when he saw old venomous snake. However, the old venomous snake was definitely a snake with quite a strong will. Therefore, under its relentless pursuit, the second elder fled from the land of demons in an extremely sorry state. The moment the second elder escaped, the white tiger race, dragon race, and phoenix race came knocking on his door. With a guest, Uncle Long and the others naturally couldn't be as lonely as before. Therefore, except for Master Ning, who was still worried, everyone else appeared in front of the three beasts in high spirits. In the living room, the three beasts looked at Uncle Dragon and the others uneasily. They wanted to say something, but they hesitated. Uncle Long saw that they didn't dare to say anything and got angry. You bastard! If there's something to say it. If there's a fart, let it out. You're also hemming and hawing like a man. If there's something, just say it. Why are you so hesitant? Uncle Long couldn't take it anymore. However, his words were still reserved. At least he didn't curse directly. Of course, this was also because he saw that the beasties in front of him looked extremely haggardly, so he was much more amiable. Is Miss Lung around? After hesitating for a long time, the white tiger, first elder, finally spoke as a representative. She is, but is cultivating. If there's nothing important, don't disturb her. Uncle Long said, after thinking for a while. Thanks, we would like to express our gratitude to Miss Lung in person. The white tiger, first elder, said, after taking a deep breath. Thank you? How do you want to thank me? Uncle Long asked, blinking his eyes. The three beasts were dumbfounded. Uncle Long's words were so direct. How could they respond? They had prepared some gifts, but they were afraid that he would not like them. More importantly, they had a favor to ask of him. You haven't thought about it? If you haven't thought it through, then go back first. We're very busy. Seeing that the beastie was silent, Uncle Long had no choice but to say, Yes, we prepared some small gifts. Seeing that the other party had the intention to chase him away, the white tiger first elder hurriedly said, Oh, just leave it to me. Uncle Long said. The representatives of the three beast clans were completely dumbfounded. Did the other party mean that they were not allowed to see Lung Ruashue? This can't do. With this thought in mind, an elder of the dragon tribe quickly said, Uncle Long, on the account that we all have the bloodline of the dragon clan, can you let us meet Miss Lung? I said is busy. I don't have time to see you. In addition, stop trying to get close to me. Who has the blood of the dragon race like you? I'm not related to you. Uncle Long didn't give him any face at all, and he immediately choked the dragon elder to the point that he couldn't say anything. Hearing Uncle Long's words, the great elder of White Tiger knew that it was useless to try to get close to him, so he could only tell him the truth. Uncle Long, we have a favor to ask of Miss Lung. You have a favor to ask? Why didn't you say so earlier? Uncle Long asked faintly, but he couldn't help but sneer in his heart. These old things, are they always so blunt when they speak and do things? Do they have to beat around the bush? Ugh, wasn't it hard to say earlier? The White Tiger, first elder, could not help but think to himself. Of course, he couldn't say this out loud. Otherwise, he would be ridiculed by Uncle Long and the others. After making up his words, the White Tiger, first elder, said, "We had originally planned to personally beg Miss Lung." "You mean other than Shui, or we can't help you?" Uncle Long interrupted the White Tiger, first elder, before he could finish. It was obvious that Uncle Long was a little angry, and the White Tiger, first elder, was even more at a loss. Originally, he had wanted to elevate Lung Ruox's status, but he had not expected that he would accidentally offend Uncle Long. Whoa, what should he do? The White Tiger, first elder, was at a complete loss. He could only look at Uncle Long with tears in his eyes and a pitiful expression. "Please be pitiful, but we really have no reason to help you," Uncle Long muttered to himself. The representatives of the three beast tribes immediately burst into tears upon hearing this. Sobs. Did this mean that he didn't want to care? "Uncle Long, don't be like this." After a long silence, the White Tiger, first elder, finally pleaded with a choked voice. "How am I?" Uncle Long blinked in confusion. "Don't ignore us," the White Tiger, first elder, said with tears streaming down his face. "Great Elder White Tiger, do you think Demon City is the savior? Who has to care?" Hearing this, Uncle Long laughed and couldn't help but ask, "I didn't mean it that way. We have a bit of friendship, right?" The first elder of the White Tiger clan asked carefully. As he spoke, he looked at Uncle Long's expression, afraid that his words would anger the other party. Chapter 2868. You've already been exposed. Stop pretending. 2. Great Elder White Tiger, we're just making a deal. Where's the friendship? Don't you forget that your three beast tribes betrayed us back then and were our enemies. Now you're asking for the enemy's help. How can the kings of your three clans bear this? Uncle Long sneered. Hearing this, the White Tiger, first elder, was heartbroken. Was the other party going to fall out with him? However, it seemed like his race and Demon City really did have a deal. Sob, what should I do? Uncle Long glanced at the White Tiger, great elder's bitter face and ordered, "Come, beast, bring the king of the three beast clans in." The little golden bees immediately received the order, and not long after, the kings of the three beast clans were led to the living room by a group of venomous snakes. The representatives of the three families didn't know what to say when they saw their king in such a sorry state. They didn't understand why Uncle Long had brought the three kings here. The three high-spirited beast kings were now dispirited. Their heads were drooped, and no one knew what they were thinking. At this moment, Uncle Dragon pointed at the representatives of the three beast races and said to the Phoenix King, the White Tiger King, and the Dragon Emperor, "These elders want to ask us for help. What do you three think?" Hearing this, the Phoenix King was the first to raise her head. When she saw the elder of the Phoenix tribe, she immediately roared, "Fuck! Did you guys take the wrong medicine? Who was the one who caused the Phone Clan to fall to this state? You still want to ask them for help? Get back to the Phone Clan and stop embarrassing me." Upon hearing the Phoenix King's angry roar, Uncle Long smiled faintly and said, "The Phoenix King seems to be in a good state of mind." Upon hearing this, the Phoenix King was shocked to realize that she had exposed herself. Your sister. Previously, she had pretended to be dispirited so that she would suffer less, but she didn't expect to be exposed so quickly. Sob, how was she going to live her days in the future? The Phoenix King was so regretful that his intestines turned green. She was the one who exposed herself. However, even though she was regretful, since she had already been exposed, she couldn't let herself suffer no matter what. So, without thinking, she kicked the White Tiger King and the Dragon Emperor's buttocks and roared, "You've already been exposed, stop pretending. Your sister, you're the one who's exposed. Why did you expose us?" The White Tiger King and the Dragon Emperor were enraged. For a moment, the three Beast Kings glared at each other like roosters. Seeing them like this, Uncle Long laughed very happily. On the other hand, the representatives of the three beast tribes blushed, and they wanted to find a hole to hide in. You bastard! This was their king? Was this really too embarrassing? However, Uncle Long obviously didn't think that they had embarrassed themselves enough. He smiled and said with an unusually kind attitude, "You guys haven't seen each other for so long. Catch up? Remember, don't fight. If you break anything here, you'll have to pay 100 times the compensation." After saying that, Uncle Long left with the others. When they returned to the living room, it was already a few hours later. After a few hours, the representatives of the three beast tribes were already in a sorry state. However, the kings of the three beast tribes were clearly in an even more miserable state, especially the White Tiger King. When he saw Uncle Dragon, it was as if he had seen a family member. He immediately hugged Uncle Dragon's leg and started howling. He even begged Uncle Dragon to save the White Tiger race. Uncle Long was baffled. He turned to the White Tiger First Elder and asked with his eyes, "What did you feed this old white tiger? How did he suddenly become so weak?" "Fuck." She was even hugging his thigh. Uncle Long kicked the White Tiger King away in disgust and sat down on a chair. He then looked around the living room. Oh, good. Nothing was broken. It seemed that these beastie had completely taken his words to heart. "Uncle Long, please save the White Tiger race." At this moment, the White Tiger First Elder also knelt down in front of Uncle Long and cried bitterly. "First Elder, the White Tiger clan, what are you doing? Didn't you already save the White Tiger race?" Uncle Long blinked and asked in confusion. "Only a portion of them are saved. The other half is in the hands of that bitch, Wu Chun." Speaking of this, the White Tiger First Elder was completely enraged. More importantly, the rescued clansmen had all lost too much blood, and their combat effectiveness had been reduced, including them. Although they were standing in front of Uncle Long and the others as if nothing had happened, in reality, their bodies were severely depleted and they were like arrows at the end of their flight. "But we're also enemies," Uncle Dragon reminded the White Tiger King. "Uncle Long, aside from Demon City, no one else can contend against that bitch, Rhyme. So, you can't just leave us here, right?" The White Tiger First Elder quickly said, "You're wrong. Right now, even Demon City can't contend against that Ripple Mist bitch. So, I don't think we can help you." Uncle Long said honestly. In fact, the reason why he rejected them was because he looked down on some of the three Beast Clan's actions. They clearly had something to ask of him, but they didn't say it directly when they came. Who were they trying to play tricks with? They didn't have the time to play guessing games with each other. More importantly, Uncle Long felt that the other party was not sincere. As such, the three Beast tribes' request for help naturally failed. The representatives of the three Beast tribes choked with sobs upon seeing Uncle Long's direct rejection. Uncle Long was annoyed by their cries and couldn't help but shout, "What? Now you regret it? When you first joined the Fog Ripple bitch, why didn't you think that this day would come? Is this retribution?" It was undeniable that Uncle Long had vented his anger after seeing the three Beast clans in such a state. This was the result of asking a tiger for its skin. Initially, he had planned to let Shui tame the ORCC from the three Beast tribe, but now that he saw them in this state, he really didn't have any such thoughts at all. Even if such a beast was tamed, it would not be of much use. Uncle Long looked at the crying representatives of the three Beast tribes with a look of disdain and continued to roar. "Cry. You guys only know how to cry. A bunch of trash. To think that you all call yourselves the four great king divine beasts. Look at your current appearance. Do you have the aura of the four king divine beasts? To tell you the truth, in our eyes, you are also our enemies and should be destroyed. And now that she's helped us, we can't thank her enough. You're still counting on us to help you save people? So what if he saved her? They will still become our captives." Uncle Long's words were venomous, but the White Tiger First Elder couldn't help but say, "Uncle Long, didn't you guys save us before? So what? Just because I saved you before, I have to work like a horse for you?" Uncle Long said hatefully. At this moment, he really regretted suggesting for Shui to tame them. If it weren't for his suggestion, they wouldn't have known that the three beast tribes had fallen, and they wouldn't have been entangled with them so naturally. But that was then, and this was now. Seeing that the three beasts only knew how to cry and hug someone's thigh when they were in trouble, Uncle Long had completely given up on the idea of Shui or taming them. These useless beasts, even if they were tamed, it would only be a waste of food. Rather than that, it would be better to let them live and die on their own. In any case, since things had already come to this, they could no longer collude with the rhyme bitch, nor would they pose any threat to them. You're tuning into the Romance Rendezvous YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.